Jeff Sokol was caught during the Hansen vs. Predator sting of Fairfield, Connecticut. He was 44 years old at the time and believed that he was talking to a 13-year-old female. Over the course of this video, I will review Jeff's texts with the decoy, his phone call with the decoy, the confrontation with Chris Hansen, and the police interview that followed. Be warned, the content of this video is verbally graphic. Viewer discretion is highly advised. To keep this video as family-friendly as possible, I won't be going through the text portion of this case with a fine-tooth comb, but I will do my best to summarize what happens as quickly as possible. My original work on this video is 4+ hours long, and if that's something that interests you, you can find it in its entirety over on Patreon. The support over there is greatly appreciated. With that out of the way, let's dive in. The two meet on Wire Club, and it's here our straw sun hat-wearing predator learns that the person he speaks with is 13 years old, almost 14. Very quickly, the conversation transitions over to Skype. Wasting not a single moment, the man calls the child gorgeous, and wonders if she finds this creepy. The conversation centers around how attractive they find each other for a short period of time, and the predator expresses great interest in verifying that she is actually a minor, and not someone messing with him. This goes on for quite some time, and the verification he so desperately wants doesn't eventuate, although that doesn't stop him from proceeding with the conversation. Hey Bailey. Anyhow, I'm tired. Yeah? I think you look amazing. I hope you don't think that's crazy, considering age difference. Thanks. That really means a lot to me. I shouldn't even be talking to you, 'cause you're so young compared to me. It's been a long time since someone said that to me. Well, I really hope it's you. Let's talk again. You aren't like Santa Claus old, but work on getting on video, so we can see each other even if it's for only a minute. Yeah, I know I'm not old, but most girls your age would think so. I'm not most girls. I like school, I like to read. I got in some trouble when my parents divorced, and I had to move here. I'm glad you're not. I hate fakes, I hate users, I hate liars. But I don't just go trusting people, because people lie, and I get hurt. Right, you shouldn't. That's why I was trying to verify you. I don't trust many people online. So if after all that, you still want to talk, cool. But you seem nice. You're smart for your age, and you are beautiful. So yes, I do. I hate stupid people. That's why I hardly talk to guys my age. I don't want to hear your mama jokes, and how loud someone can burp laugh out loud. Right. Jeff. Very immature. Thank you for saying I'm pretty. You're welcome. Good night, Bailey. Well, good night. Talk to you soon. I'll play you a segment from my original video on this, which I found to be quite a good analysis of the communication styles between the two so far. I've highlighted many things that the 13-year-old says, which strike me as immature. There is nothing wrong with any of her viewpoints here. There's nothing immature about disliking liars and users. And I don't know many that find yo mama jokes funny anymore. But I don't really know about the burps, hey. There's a time and place, and personally, I've heard a few burps that really impressed the socks off me. When witnessing a true master of the burping craft, one has no choice but to marvel at the talent on display. Maybe this decoy hasn't heard a real impressive one yet in her short life, and so there she is truly showing her immaturity, hey. Jokes aside, it's the style of writing which I'm looking at. She writes in a rather abrasive fashion, and her thoughts are sharp, unfiltered, and very matter-of-fact. She's expressive yet blunt, sharp yet dull. She has a lot of thoughts, opinions, and feelings, but does not yet possess the ability to fully articulate herself. This is very common in many young teens, and quite often the very reason why people who are older, in their 20s and above, will say that they cannot communicate with teenagers. The disconnect in maturity here is apparent. Watching Jeff bring himself to her level, and calling her smart, referring to the burping boys as immature, it's all grooming behavior 101. And between you and I, something tells me that Jeff here has likely engaged in many a heartfelt belch at the horror and probably some cheers of people nearby, hey. Past Dave exposing my love for the art of a burp, hey. As the chat moves on, Jeff becomes rather curious about a certain part of her life. Can I ask you a personal question? Okay. Are you a virgin? Laugh out loud, yeah. That is personal. No, I was with my boyfriend once. So you slept with one guy? Yeah. More than once? A couple times. I am surprised. Why? Most girls your age are virgins. So I am impressed. I told you last night I had gotten into trouble before. Right. But I wasn't sure for what. And laugh out loud. At my old school, there were a lot of thirsty thoughts. Thirsty thoughts? I'm not thirsty or a thought. What do you mean? Not thought. Thought. Thirsty means someone who gives blowjobs to whoever. What's a thought? That hoe over there. Did you blow your boyfriend? No. Honestly, it always happened so fast. And then it was like, what the fuck? Have you blown anyone? No. I never cheated on him. And we were together for like a year. I really want to see you on vid. How can we do this? Buy me a phone? Laugh out loud. Just kidding. Gotta love those personal quesitons, hey. It always strikes me as jarring to read how easily these men bring up sexual dialogue with minors. Imagine being in a pub and talking to someone of age that you're attracted to. What's your job? Oh, I'm in finance. Finance, nice. Very cool. Hey, I have a question for you. Are you a virgin? The fact that these men think this diarrhea will land with a minor speaks volumes about how they view their fellow human, and where their mind is really at during the pursuit for intimacy. Jeff praises the minor for her sexual endeavors, thus reinforcing potential harmful behavior as a positive thing in her life. Chat proceeds, and paranoia is at an all-time high as he once again tries to verify her identity. They discuss the finer details of why he's interested in her. I'll give you a simple hint. It's because he finds her physically attractive. And a bit further down, we learn that he has a great affinity for a woman's hands and nails. This launches the two into yet another lengthy paranoia-fueled conversation about identity verification, where Jeff gets quite explicit in expressing his fear of being caught by law enforcement. The chat is incredibly long, and in my opinion rather interesting, but for the purposes of brevity, it can easily be summarized down to two people getting to know each other. Well, should I say, one predator trying to make his target feel more comfortable with him. They talk about her school life and experiences, worldviews, and an always hot predatory topic, food. Over the course of these discussions, a picture is portrayed of Jeff to be quite a neurotic, critical, and overbearing individual. As the conversation focuses on food, it inevitably turns to desserts, and in addition to predating on minors, we also learn that Jeff loves preying upon donuts, so much so that he believes he's getting quite fat. That doesn't stop him at all from demanding that she steer clear of sweet treats, because he can't be having a fat girlfriend who's out of shape. The conversation shifts to the decoy's passion for ballet, and we learn that this is quite a sensitive topic for the man, an issue that he really doesn't want to discuss in detail, because according to him, ballet is for girls, not guys. Any man that chooses to do ballet mustn't have a penis. A stance that he absolutely refuses to budge on. To wash away the awful feelings that come with discussing such a foul topic as ballet, Jeff directs the conversation towards Krispy Kremes, and with things feeling a little more comfortable for the man, it gives his mind the opportunity to once again sink into paranoia about getting caught. Sexual promiscuity is discussed in vivid detail, and they touch on birth control. At the close of this topic of conversation, Jeff gets quite poetic with his grooming. I really think you are one of the prettiest girls I ever seen. If you only knew how that makes me smile. Honest. No one really said that and meant it. But they said it, only for their own reasons. Well, I feel it. I speak it. I know it. Thank you. You make my heart smile. That is great. Have a good night, Bailey. Good night, Jeff. Have Have a good day tomorrow. His romance engine operating at maximum capacity. He squirts these words into existence. I feel it. I speak it. I know it. My heart is on fire with those little beauties there, hey. It sounded like an excerpt from a terrible romance novel synopsis or something. I could probably pick on that for a while, hey, but I won't. I'll leave it and move on, because there's still a lot more nonsense for me to feel, for me to speak, for me to know. Paranoia and anxiety marbles the remainder of the chat as he attempts to manipulate her into not telling anyone about their relationship. Predatory chatter also intensifies throughout the remainder of the log, as Jeff delves further into exactly what he would like to be doing with the decoy. He asks her questions about whether she shaves down there, and despite the decoy's best efforts to redirect the flow of dialogue towards things like sport, Jeff always brings it back to a sexual place. Nearing the end of the log, he learns that she'll be home alone the following weekend, and this prompts him to begin organizing an in-person hangout. It's important to note that it's planned that he'll be bringing some pizza along with him. This leads to a deeper conversation about what he would like to do with the child when he arrives. If we hit it off when I meet you, I am going to want to be intimate with you. Are you sure? Or just fucking with me? Of course I am sure. I am very attracted to you. How do you feel about that? I don't know. It's not like I never did it. And it would be fun with you probably. And you're hot. I know you done it. Laugh out loud. But are you affectionate? I'm not clingy, laugh out loud. But yeah, I'm affectionate during it. The whole point of affection is to be affectionate, not during sex. That's what affection is. Well, I was with my ex, but not all. Oh my god, I need you every second. Well, that's different. I mean touching and kissing and hugging. Oh yeah, I'm into that. Have you ever thought a guy was hot and wondered what size his dick was? Laugh out loud. Yeah, a lot. Do you think dick size matters? Nope. X was decent. Didn't know what the fuck he was doing. What size was he? About 6. Do you think a guy's dick can be too small for you? Laugh out loud. Laugh out loud? I don't know. I'm not a dick expert. There are some guys out there who are like 3 inches. That's ridiculous. Laugh out loud. Oh my god, no way. It's like wimpy. You can't be a real man with a 3-inch dick. Laugh out loud. I'm not that big, but I know how to satisfy a girl. Good to know. But yeah, I really want to be intimate with you. I think it would be fun. Paranoia and sex go hand in hand throughout the remainder of the log, which sees the man musing that they should get married. This will help him avoid any sort of backlash that could come his way from having sex with a minor. With the proposition of marriage on the table, the two share a phone call. From this point on, that ends my summary of the chat log, and I'll leave you with the remainder of my original work for this video.
Hello?
Hey, what's up?
Hey, what are you doing? Did your plumber get there yet?
He's not. He's fucking late.
Oh my god.
I've been, they just called and, said that they're running late, so.
Whatever.
Oh, wait, you know what? They're calling me on the other line. Hold on one second.
Alright.
Alright. Yeah, that was them. They're on their way now.
Oh, okay.
It's nice to hear your voice, though.
It's nice to hear yours too. I didn't think you would be like that deep. I thought it would be like, I don't know, a little bit lighter.
Really?
Yeah, you have like a way deep voice.
What's that?
You have like a way deep voice. Like, deep. Like,
Yeah, well, I don't know. Do you like it?
I do like it. I like it a lot.
A lot of people say that they like my voice.
Me too. You have a really nice voice.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, so I hope you understand that, like, why I'm nervous about the whole thing, about meeting you and everything, and the whole thing about breaking the law. That is what I'm most concerned about.
I know.
And I don't want you to, I mean, I just want you to understand. I know that, you probably don't know much about it, but I mean, it's just something I've been like reading about, and every time I read about it, it like fucks with my brain and fucks with my mind even more. You know, like is this like worth it? Is it, you know, not that you're not worth it. It's like it's the whole worth it. You know what I mean? So like it's risk.
I get it. I know.
I'm glad you get it, because you have to get it in order to.
Yeah, I get it. I do. I don't have to like it, but I get it.
Right, of course. You don't have to like it, and I don't either. It's like, it sucks, but there's people that take advantage of it, and that's why they have laws. So.
Yeah. Okay.
You sound so cute on the phone.
Thank you.
I mean, and I'm sure you're even cuter in person.
I don't know about that.
At this point of the call, conversation lingers on the topic of whether he should come for a visit or not, and the decoy is really working hard to reel him in.
I would love to see you, and you're right, it's a good time. And I don't know when she'll go away again. I mean, sometimes it's just like overnight, so I don't know.
Yeah.
You know, this was just like perfect, but I knew that, you know, I just knew we hadn't really got a chance to talk, so I wasn't sure.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, I could, you know, if I, you know, I mean, technically I could probably still come down and just leave my dog here and then just come back later tonight.
Okay.
You know, I could do something like that.
Okay.
It's around the 8-minute mark into the phone call that the decoy tries to put herself in his shoes, and she shows some understanding of his apprehension. She says that she thought about coming to see him in Boston, but because it would be the first time that they've met, she would feel uncomfortable. Therefore, she has some idea of why he may be feeling uncomfortable.
And that's why that's why I understood what you meant, because I was like, well, I guess if I did it, I would feel uncomfortable too. And I, you know, so then I try to understand your part more.
Yeah, but I mean, it's different. I mean, you're comfortable for different reasons.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I find Jeff's response to her trying to understand his predicament incredibly self-absorbed and short-sighted, as he boorishly steamrolls over her sincerity. Sure, he can go to jail for a number of years, and that is a valid concern on his part. But the decoy doesn't have nothing to worry about. How does she know he is who he says he is? How can she trust that he won't kidnap her? That he'll pick her up from the station like he says? If anything goes wrong, she's 2.5 hours away from home, away from anything that she knows. It's a pretty scary situation for anyone, let alone a minor. At the least, she could find herself lost and afraid in a location that she's never been. At the worst, she could be mugged, attacked, killed or kidnapped. And Jeff is blind to any of this, as all he can see are those prison bars and his penis. Furthermore, he's discussed to no end his concerns. But what about hers? Surely she should have some, right? She could get into trouble from her mother, or receive an STI. She could be scared and anxious in general about being with this man. But we don't know any of that, and Jeff hasn't taken the time to ask. In his world, all that matters is Jeff, and how Jeff feels about Jeff.
I'm uncomfortable because it's like breaking the law. Like if I was to like, you know, have sex with you, which I know I could go out there and we don't have to have sex, but like if it happened, you know, that's the part that I'm like afraid of, and breaking the law, and you know, consequences are pretty harsh, and I know I'll be attracted to you. And
I know, because I'm already attracted to you, and I know.
Coming up, the two discuss the possible marriage some more, and the decoy mentions that she heard of a girl getting married at 15, indicating to Jeff that the idea is not so far-fetched for her. This topic leads the decoy to share her thoughts on romance.
I said I'm like totally not the most like romantic person. I like more fun. Like I know, like hugging and kissing, I like all that. And I like the flowers, but I'm not one of those bitches that's going to be like, oh, it's Friday, you didn't bring me flowers? I'm like, it's Friday, bring me a cheeseburger.
Yeah, and that's fine. I mean, I like to be romantic sometimes, but I mean, you know, it just depends. It depends, like, you know, what you do, and I mean, me and you have some obstacles, you know, and limitations. You live far, and you live with your mom. I mean, it's like crazy stuff, but But yeah, the age thing, again, it's there, and, you know, it's the back of my head. It's frowned upon, you know. I mean, like, any of my friends knew that I was seeing a girl that's 14, well, 13, 14. I mean, they would fucking, like, look at me like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, that's crazy. You're, like, you know, flirting with, like, a death sentence, you know?
Yeah.
Prince Charming over here, hey, really knows how to make a gal feel special.
Because of, like, the, you know, breaking the law, but...
I understand.
Okay. I'm glad you do. I will, maybe we can talk later. I'll text you later and let you know for sure.
Well, I hope I hear from you, really, and, you know, I hope you're able to come out, so just let me know, okay?
All right, I'll talk to you
And I'm
soon.
so glad I got to hear your voice.
Me too. I mean, it's like, wow.
I know. It's been a long time. We should have done this a while
I
ago.
know.
So,
Should have, yeah.
okay, then I'll talk to you later on.
Okay, I'll talk to you soon.
Bye, Jeff.
Bye-bye.
After the phone call, the two transition their text communications from Skype over to cellular messages. Jeff sends the decoy a photo of himself. I'm guessing it's meant to indicate angry sexy, as the tagline to go with it says that he is upset waiting for the plumber to arrive. The decoy calls him a handsome beast, a statement which is half correct. Then a few lines down, we get the moment which clears up without a doubt his intentions on the marriage. He tells the decoy that they would need to acquire written consent from the girl's mother if they want to elope, resulting in Jeff sending a rather elongated fuck, followed by him saying he has some ideas on how to get around this. This moment indicates more about sexual intent than any sexually heated discussion one might engage in under the influence of a blood-drunk penis. Horny talk is very unreliable, as men will say some ridiculous things during this intoxication. So it speaks volumes that Jeff has not only discussed getting married separate to any sexually elevated moment of discussion, but has also gone out of his way to research the legalities and possible problems that he may face with it. He's not pretending to be in love with her, using marriage as a means to woo, and he has openly stated that the only reason for the marriage will be so that he can safely cross that sexual boundary with her. I really am at a bit of a loss for words at this point, quite shocked actually, to allow myself a moment where I let my emotion control my thoughts. I really don't know where these men come up with the time and energy for all of this, hey. It sounds downright exhausting. The thought of all of this hiding behind people's backs, only being able to communicate and visit at certain times, running around to a town hall to get married, so that one can have sex, just seems so very exorbitant. And that's not even mentioning the predatory elements to all of this. How about go read a book or something? That experience is far more wholesome and less energy consuming. I'm 34 years old at the time of recording this. And hell, I get tired right when the hour strikes 9 p.m, hey. I'm ready to get into bed and get that shut-eye, because the next day will not be kind if I'm tired. If I were to meet someone now, call me lazy, but it would be really nice if things were simple and easy. Doesn't that sound pleasant? Life is complicated enough. Let's just sit back and enjoy each other's company. I'm not going to go around to town halls to get married, so that in the off chance that all of the energy I put into hiding our relationship doesn't work, and people find out about us and accuse me of horrible things, I'll be safe from legal trouble. I don't have time for that. Does anybody? How at 44 years old this man has the time and energy for that will forever amaze me. I spoke about passion earlier in this video, and how it can make a human motivated beyond what is natural. Maybe this is Jeff's passion. Maybe his experience that makes him feel alive is the pursuit of sex, especially with an individual that satiates his mind as much as this miner does. Maybe this is his thing. He's in flow state right now. Predatory flow state. The pro athlete in the Predator Olympics, which all others aspire to be like. He has put on display his mastery of the craft and achieved the predatory marriage. Truly an awe-inspiring feat amongst the predators of the world. Anyways, good news coming up ahead. Jeff says that he can meet her around 9 p.m, saying that he'll grab the pizza whilst wondering if there's any alcohol at her house. I wonder if the store had any idea that in a few short hours, they were about to get the best, or worst, advertising campaign of their lives. And so that's pretty much it. The pizza has been ordered, and Jeff has embarked on the 2.5-hour journey to meet up with his wife-to-be. The only problem here is that I am unsure if Chris Hansen will fit into that wedding dress, hey. Let's go check it out.
Jeff? Over here. You can come in this way. Sorry about that. Come on in.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
Before we get started on this interaction, I want to take it back right to the start there and point out how the original editor of this footage has cut that opening scene together. False advertising if one were to ask me, hey, as this is supposed to be uncut footage. A far cry from what I'm witnessing here. With how many times it mechanically cuts between Jeff's movements outside of the house, this section to me looks as though it were edited together by a seizing robot. I'm making such a big deal out of this because this moment would have been something I would have been interested in watching without the cuts. It would have been helpful in understanding the man a little better. Did he kick around the car for an extended period? And how long exactly did he spend out there before making the decision to walk over? How confident or anxious did he appear when doing so? Small questions that I'll never have the answers to, hey. Also, as a side note, I'll be stopping quite frequently throughout this interaction, which will interrupt the flow of the moment quite heavily. If you're interested in watching the complete footage without my commentary, I'll leave a link in the description of this video to a location where you can watch that.
How are you?
Good, how are you? Did you find the house okay?
Quite the smile for such a paranoid man, hey.
No, because it's really dark out. So.
How long did it take you to get here?
I don't know, it took 2.5 hours.
That's a long drive.
Yeah.
This will be the start of a long-running series of moments that sees Jeff slam items onto surfaces using an unnecessary amount of force. And just as the slamming of these items will become a recurring theme, a running conflict will emerge in my thoughts, a split in my mind that sees Jeff as two very different individuals. For this specific instance, the slam of orange juice could be nothing more than a man whose movements are being dictated by nerves and obsessive-compulsive tendencies. Or on the other hand, it could be the actions of an assertive, dominant individual, a little show of masculinity and bravado, as he signals to the young girl that the orange juice is exactly where he intends for it to be. Subconscious, of course, but something that I have seen people do before, heavy-handedly commanding insignificant items into place to project the image that they are someone who is firmly in control. It's most interesting that this slam occurs split seconds before he goes for the hug, once again putting me into two minds about where his headspace is. Was it an anxious reaction as he prepped himself to break the physical barrier, something I imagine he has thought about on the drive over? Or a preemptive, celebratory action, as he's excitedly coming in for a hug, which he is confident that he'll get.
Alright.
Sorry, I'm really nervous.
Oh, you gonna give me a hug?
No, I'm sorry.
This is a huge tone-setting moment in the interaction overall. So far from the log, Jeff has struck me as an obsessive, potentially even narcissistic person, and generally with people who carry those traits, if things don't go their way, they will find it difficult to recover from. Control is very much needed in their interactions. The situation will need to resolve somewhat in the way he intended before he can move on, and if my suspicions about Jeff are correct, then this rejection would be a huge blow for the man. The hug itself may not have had any direct sexual intent behind it either. I would actually opine that it didn't. More than likely a physical icebreaker. Make it heartfelt and warm. Show that he's not a threat to her, so that things can feel a little more comfortable. The rejection of this gesture would make him feel more aware of his predatory position in the situation. In his mind, he is no longer the cool, sexy man that he thought she saw him as, and he will become uncomfortable, as he now must adapt to a new image that is projected onto him from this person.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
are you okay?
Yeah, I'm okay. I'll settle into it.
He initially greets the rejection with an exaggerated, "oh wow," indicating that he is in slight disbelief that things are feeling this uncomfortable for her. By doing this, he is very quickly and subtly signaling to her that her discomfort is quite the shock to him, and shouldn't be there. He immediately follows it up with an "are you okay?" as he intently maintains eye contact and presents a smile which I consider to be false. The smile being something people often do when experiencing a difficult situation, yet they don't have enough time to process everything. Wear a smile to deflect any sort of negative incoming and outgoing feelings, while the brain scrambles for control. The man at this point is analyzing her, likely not too concerned whether she is actually okay or not. The question is more intended to gauge where she is at, as this is not going how he thought it would. To build a counter-argument to what I just said though, there is a possibility that he may be concerned for her well-being. And in this very moment he is realizing that she is just a child, probably one that is in way over her head, one that foolishly made a mistake by inviting this fully grown adult male over to her house, and upon feeling his presence within her comfort zone, now regrets her choice to invite him over. There's the chance that this is what he is feeling, and is trying to look into her eyes to find out just how scared she is, to decide whether he should explain why he is leaving, or just leave. That is a possibility, but really I don't think so, as any man or woman who would feel this level of empathy wouldn't be here.
Okay.
So, what kind of pizza you got? Just
the small pizza is like almost as big as the big one. So I didn't know that. Like you said small, I thought it'd be like a really small one.
Yeah.
I said big one. So it's pretty big.
Sorry.
Are you okay?
I'm okay.
Those hidden cameras must be hidden pretty darn well, hey, because the man is staring right at us.
Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm fine. I am. I'm fine.
I've just never done this before.
I know.
Have you?
No, not really. I mean,
Are you telling me the truth?
I've met girls online, but I don't like come like this far to like meet someone. I don't know why
It's kind of crazy, huh?
It is crazy. Yeah, why did you let me come?
This question alone is not all that bad, as it is an adequate way for him to express his confusion surrounding the disconnect between the person he met via text, a very confident and excited young girl, to the now nervous and withdrawn person who stands before him. If he was paying attention though, he would have recalled that during the chat log, the decoy told him she exploded in front of her classmates one time, and many of them were shocked, as they thought she was a quiet person. Yet the real problem with this question he asked her is the serious and accusatory tone with which he uses. That juxtaposes against his forced smile and casual demeanor to result in a pretty confronting situation, especially for a young person. The hidden implication behind his words is that she got herself into this mess. If she's feeling so nervous, why didn't she think about that before wasting 2.5 hours of his time? This question places psychological pressure on her, as she will begin to feel the weight of wasting his time. And the danger of this is obvious, as it could see her put her discomfort to the side, ignoring her instincts, and begin to engage with him sexually. This way, she will more line up with her persona when they were texting, so that she can avoid any conflicts with this man.
If you're so nervous.
It seems like a good idea, and you seem nice.
Why do you think I came?
This question opens up multiple doorways of possibility for who he is and how he expected it to be answered, and I could spend quite some time speculating about all of the different ways he thought she might answer this and what they all mean for who he is. But I won't do that, because they all lead to the same conclusion, and that conclusion being how the complexities of his mind could have generated a seriously difficult and confronting situation for the young girl, whether the night turns sexual or not. I will explain. The way it's posed to her would see the minor forced to look inwards so that she could provide him with a rather emotionally complicated answer. It all comes down to who she is and how she handles this sort of questioning. Should she be an anxious person, a people pleaser, and all round not overly confident on expressing herself, this could be a difficult little moment of time-sensitive self-questioning. She could say to herself, How will he respond if I say something wrong? How will he respond if I'm honest about what I think? What does he want me to say? These questions may be swirling around her mind as she feels pressured to answer, and it is highly unfair for the minor, as panic-induced decision-making could see her lean toward the knight sexually to keep him calm and the interaction conflict-free.
I think I know.
Nervous Nellie, as the To Catch a Predator community affectionately have named her, is a theatre student, and I'm unsure if she is drawing upon her acting skills here or not, but it's quite a powerful little performance. She answers him with a forced smile whilst maintaining eye contact, and implies that she thinks that he is only here for sex with her. There is a hint of sadness to her words, as though she has accepted her fate, and the result comes together to elicit quite the emotional response from me, as for a split second I forget that she is a decoy, and all I see is a scared young person.
It's not the only reason. It's not the reason.
What's the reason?
I'm not just, been talking to you for a while, and you seem like really cool to hang out with, and someone that I'd like to meet, and I wanted to check out the situation,
Well, here we are.
Yeah.
After learning her answer, he now provides the emotional comforter to a problem which he created. He is trying to calm her and indicates that he is of no threat to the young girl, that she can feel safe with him and doesn't need to worry about sex. He delivers this to her by speaking slowly and softly, his voice almost a whisper, behavior that is common when an individual is attempting to lower their threat or dominance within a situation.
So, let's deal with this whole contract thing, because I'm just going to be thinking about it the whole time until we get that out of the way.
It's obvious to us viewers that the decoy is needing to run through a list of talking points which have been preset by Team Hansen, but because Jeff is in the dark to that fact, it would look, to him, that his attempt to calm her nerves is failing. That charm which he is likely used to using on people to smooth things over is hitting a brick wall with this young girl. His smile here again appears to be false, a mask he wears to hide the real feelings that he may be experiencing. Feelings such as frustration, which would see him asking himself questions such as, why would she bring this up now? And do I even want to discuss this with her anymore? Not wanting to allow her to dictate the flow of this moment any more away from how he envisioned things would go, and likely a little confused himself that she is nervous about the contract. When every discussion he's had with her up to this point, she has been excited for it, he will push to dominate and control the situation, telling her that they'll discuss it after they eat. In doing this, he will be deciding what is best to discuss and when, despite her claiming that she would like to talk about it as it's bothering her.
Let's eat and we can talk about it.
Okay. There's plates behind you if you want to grab one.
Huh?
There's plates behind you if you want to grab one. Do you want a water or anything?
No.
The intensity that just occurred is something that is easy to miss, but once noticed, very difficult to look past. Once Jeff rejects her notion to discuss the marriage contract, watch as his gaze is locked on her and he observes her for a reaction. The man has caught the decoy in an emotional lie and is watching her with intensity to try and figure out logically what is occurring. His smile forced, but gradually departs as he internalizes what is happening. And as the smile leaves his face, it's actually quite scary, as for a split second we get a look at the calculating, questioning, and anxious individual that dwells beneath. One that is reclining into his own mind so much so that he misses a simple command from her, lost in noisy thought. I believe him to be very much on edge right now, and trying to understand the emotional discrepancies. The main question being, what has gotten her so nervous about this marriage contract? What am I missing?
Man, well, I got this for in case we.
Alright, I'll grab water.
All right, I will have water. You want to eat at the table? What do you want to do?
Now we can just sit here.
For the life of me, I cannot figure out what she says there, hey.
Now we can just sit here.
I've replayed it so many times now that I'm likely going to dream about those set of verbal vibrations.
Now I'm gonna stay here. Now I'm gonna stay here. Now I'm gonna stay here.
Whatever it is, it sure got a cheeky chuckle out of Jeff, hey?
Yeah, I expected it to be like 2.5 hours, so.
You're from the Boston area, you said?
Yeah, can I wash my hand?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have some family that lives up there. It's pretty nice.
Do you?
Yeah, I've been to Faneuil Hall.
Where's your family? Like, what part of Boston?
I don't know.
Yeah, you don't know.
Boston's so confusing. It's wicked confusing.
Okay.
I like how the decoy takes a sip of her water after that slightly embarrassing little attempt at humor. Just keep drinking and pretend like it didn't happen. One has to have a bit of a chuckle at her comment here though. The attempt to lighten the mood with forced enthusiasm is really quite sincere and very relatable. I'm sure we've all excitedly blurted out some set of words with forceful conviction at a very inopportune time, hey. I know I most definitely have. As she joyously states that Boston is wicked confusing, Jeff doesn't match her energy at all, and simply repeats her words under his breath with that forced smile. Leading up to this moment, the last 20-odd seconds have been rather awkward filler conversation, and overall, I believe Jeff to still be trying to process what is occurring. I think he may actually be quite a perceptive person, and based on the emotional character blueprint that he came to know via texting, something is really not lining up for him. Everything he does here is with such force and intensity. It's as though his uncertainty manifests into physical exertion upon inanimate objects. He is accentuating his presence and presenting as someone who is in complete control, all the whilst grasping for it. We can see that the decoy senses his intensity in the face of her embarrassing thoughts on Boston, and she even apologizes for it. It's rather interesting to watch these two characters trying to be cool with one another when they both have opposing agendas for how this interaction needs to go.
I'm sorry. I'll try to be cool.
Oh, it's okay.
We'll work on it.
I mean, you look great.
Thanks.
You just look different than what than like in the pictures. I don't know, maybe, I don't know, I expected you to have dark hair. Did you?
My hair it lightens up in the summer.
A plausible story indeed, if it weren't for the fact that she had sent him 2 current pictures of herself, which saw her with darker hair.
And no, I'm not saying, I mean, I think you look
You don't
great.
like it?
I think you look great. I'm just saying, like, you look different, yeah, than I thought.
Yeah.
But no, nothing wrong with
Well, you
that.
never can tell with online things, you know?
His instincts almost broke through, hey. It would seem that those red flags are being actively suppressed in the hopes that this may be real.
What about me? Do I look different?
I mean, you look different. I'm not saying better or worse, just different.
Alright.
I have cupcakes too if you want one.
Let's see, did you make them?
Look at those. Do you think I made those?
I have no idea.
No.
Do you want to use plates or do you want to just eat?
Whatever you want. We're pretty casual here.
Okay.
I'm like too nervous to eat.
Well, you already ate, didn't you?
Yeah, I did.
I was wondering if you were gonna be like, how would you be? Like, would you be nervous? Would you be like totally like you've done this before?
Oh,
you know,
definitely haven't done this before.
Like, I don't know. You just seemed very, very like, you didn't seem nervous at all when I talked to you, and just.
This is someone who is intently hunting for answers, whilst masking it as casual talk. The core idea at play is that he feels she is drastically different to whom he thought her to be, and he sugarcoats that rather serious concern with smiling, non-threatening body language, and a light, conversational tone to his questions.
Well, you know, it's different when you're talking to someone online versus like
person.
coming to their house
I
and
know,
meeting them.
I know. I just gotta take something. This isn't drugs. It's just a.
Yeah, no, by all means. Here, drink water.
It's something that I take before I eat.
There will be a lot of discussion later on in the video about what this pill could possibly be and why he took it, so I'll leave these thoughts for then. Just so you know though, it will be addressed.
What have you been doing all day?
I'm just hanging out. Watching TV, Netflix and stuff.
What's that?
I have no idea. Do you want me to check?
Somebody here?
No.
What kind of pizza we have tonight? Who's this? I'll get to that in a minute. Who are you?
Who are you?
And there it is, Jeff's entire night. His entire life shifts within the span of a few short seconds. The girl he was thinking about marrying, at least spending the next few years together, she walks out of his field of vision, and in doing so, the young girl Bailey departs his life forever.
What kind of pizza we have tonight? Who's this? I'll get to that in a minute. Who are you?
Who are you?
You tell me first. You're Jeff, right?
Yeah.
And what are you doing here tonight, Jeff?
Hanging out.
Hanging out with whom?
With her.
Who's her?
I want to know who you are.
I want to know a little bit more about you first.
Can I eat first?
Sure, go ahead.
Tell me who you are, because, I didn't know there would be other people here.
Arrogant confidence is what it appears Jeff is wearing, smiling, firmly placing the bottle of water on the table, and the request to eat pizza first before answering any questions. Many other predators attempt to adopt this casual technique, but few have mastered it like our friend Jeff here. He may be an individual who operates very well under psychological pressure, or his paranoia leading up to this could have seen him well prepared for anything. The bravado could be a compensation for nerves, or he could believe that he is free of legal wrongdoing unless sexual intercourse was had. So in this moment, though potentially awkward and confrontational for him, is ultimately nothing that bad. And that's why we see him adopt the casual, confident, and welcomed guest persona so easily.
Well, what did you expect to happen here tonight, Jeff?
Didn't have any expectation.
Being asked what he expected to happen has momentarily stopped him in his tracks, and I am intrigued as to why that may be. I've been watching over this section numerous times to figure it out, and I'll walk you through my thought process. At first I thought, maybe it could be because Hansen knows his name and used it here, but that was thrown out the window as I realized that Chris had already greeted the man using his name upon entrance. As I looked at it more, I began to think that maybe the implication that he was expecting sex from the girl stopped him, his body needing to quieten, allowing for minimal sensory input as his mind catches up to the implied accusation. But the answer, I think, is much simpler. Notice when Hansen asks the question, Jeff has his hands on the pizza, and for a split second he looks downward at the food. I believe that he is not knocked off keel at all. Instead, Jeff is indicating to Chris, look at all this food, buddy. You really think I came here for sex? I'm here to eat and hang out, and thinking that I would be here for anything else is ridiculous.
No expectations whatsoever.
No.
So you drove 2.5 hours
Sure did.
from Boston
Who are you?
to come here
Are you her dad?
to meet a young girl.
Are you her
I
dad?
will get to that in a minute.
Huh?
Go ahead, have a bite.
Wow. I haven't done anything wrong.
What a brilliant little run of comic relief, hey? I know the entire situation is horribly serious, but at times, it's so ridiculous it has to be laughed at. And it's ingredients like these.
So you drove 2.5 hours?
Sure did. Huh?
Go ahead, have a bite.
Wow. I haven't done anything wrong.
That work together with the seriousness, which makes this show pretty addictive. Just like a good pizza, hey?
How old are you?
What does it matter?
I'd like to know.
I haven't done anything wrong.
This is one of the more memorable clash of egos that I've seen on the program. Two men with defined narratives are laid out in their mind, and both attempting to push the other into their lane of thinking.
Coming to meet somebody? What's wrong? What is that against
Coming
the
to
law?
meet a young girl?
Yeah, is that against the law?
It is after this chat.
How?
Did you bring some kind of a contract with you? Some sort of marriage contract?
A common defense that manipulative people will use when backed into a corner is laughter. By laughing at the words which have been thrown at him, it indicates to his attacker that the whole thing is ridiculous. For Hansen to even consider that marriage contract as having any sort of tangible reality behind it, He's making himself look stupid. So stupid, in fact, that it has brought laughter to Jeff.
Let's see if any of this sounds familiar while you enjoy your pizza. I should come see you on Saturday.
Hansen generously gifts the man some easy listening whilst he enjoys his pizza. As Hansen starts to read those words out, it stops Jeff chewing in his tracks as he listens intently, getting a sense as to what sort of trouble he might be in.
Well, since your mom isn't home, it's the best time to do it. I would, but only if you want me to.
Mostly I've stopped it right here, because this face makes me chuckle, hey. The brow raised, forehead creased, and the gears turning. Things have definitely gotten much more complicated for Jeff, hey.
You say, I can't go to jail. My life would be ruined.
Right.
Could be locked up for 20 years.
Yep.
And then you say, do you trim your blank?
Quickly adapting to this new problem, he once again adopts the defense that everything is okay, agreeing as his words are read aloud. Until of course we get to the line about a blank being trimmed. Jeff laughs once more to downplay the seriousness, and with this roundabout acknowledgement that Chris has valid concerns, we'll see a shift in the Predator's attitude. He'll throw his pizza down, as if ready to greet the challenge head-on, and he defiantly begins to evade Chris's questions, like a naughty teenager who's been caught with alcohol.
Okay.
Now you know that this girl is 13, right?
Wasn't sure.
She's told you.
No. That doesn't
And you're what, 37?
mean anything.
You're 37? How old are you? You might as well just tell me, because I can find out like that.
A power move from Hansen to combat the defiance. Chris has a number of little tricks up his sleeve that I've seen him play over the course of his predator catching tenure. One of them being, if a man is not playing by the rules of his game for long enough, he'll give a slight hint that he's got power and influence. The implication being that he's some sort of important person, be that person law enforcement, a government official, or possibly even criminal connections. The desired outcome stays the same: scare the predator into submission. In many instances, the scared and dumbfounded predator will subconsciously acknowledge the psychological element to this move, and fall more in line with Hansen without question. With Jeff though, as you'll see, he's not so easily pushed around, and he acknowledges the tactic by ignoring Hansen's question whilst asking one of his own.
Who are you? Can you tell me who you are first?
I will tell you that in a minute.
Because, now you're making me nervous and...
You're 44 years old.
Some may argue that by not answering Jeff's question of who are you, it is another power move on Chris's part. He will not be answering any questions as he's running this thing. And to a degree, I do agree. Personally though, I feel that it weakens Chris's position more than it strengthens. Of course he doesn't tell them who he is just yet, because he knows that once that cat is out of the bag, there's a very good chance the interview will end. Yet by not providing this information to who he is, it makes it seem as though his claim of finding out just like that could have been an empty threat. Maybe he isn't anyone important. That's why he chooses to hide his name and to continue to play this game, rather than being an adult and answering the question like an adult. I believe Chris feels that the power he had just obtained may have the potential to slip through his fingertips. That's why he gives up, that he in fact already knows Jeff's age. It's a slight weakness on his part, as it begs the question, why did he ask how old the man was if he already knew the answer? Revealing that he knows Jeff's age already is to prove that his claim of being able to find out just like that is not false. He's like a child who brags that they can run fast, and then takes off running when someone questions their claims of high speeds.
Right? Mm-hmm. Right? As a 44-year-old guy, I shouldn't be talking to 13-year-old girls like this. Yet I want to. What am I supposed to make of that? Sorry, I'm paranoid. For meeting me? No, potentially having sex.
Notice that locked-on eye contact. He's keenly observing Chris, whilst waiting for the real move to be made, watching intently and trying to get a handle on what this man is capable of.
But that is where the breaking the law comes from.
Right.
Punishable up to 20 years. Did you bring condoms with you tonight?
Wasn't planning on having sex.
Do you have them in your car?
No.
I'm going to find out, so you might as well tell me now.
I don't. Go ahead, check the car.
It's around this point that I believe Jeff has figured it out. There's been a few mentions in the seconds leading up to here regarding legalities, and Hansen put an emphasis on this line. That's where the breaking of the law comes in. He then proceeds to ask Jeff if he has condoms on him or in the car, and he will find out. There are enough pieces here for Jeff to feel confident that he's dealing with law enforcement. The main sign that leads me to this conclusion is his confirmation that Chris can go ahead and search his vehicle. If he thought this was a disgruntled father, family member or friend, I doubt he'd give them permission to go and search his vehicle.
You will never tell anyone about us having sex. Are you sure? Okay, I could be there Saturday afternoon. Explain. Explain it to me.
Just wanted to come hang out and...
It looks like here you wanted to come here and have sex with a 13-year-old girl.
Okay, is that against the law to
To have sex with a 13-year-old girl when you're 44? Yes,
No,
it's
to
against
meet,
the law.
To meet a girl. That's all I've done.
I'd often find myself wondering how many men and women don't know that what Jeff did here was illegal. How many people are out there that believe that criminal behavior occurs at the point of intercourse only? It may seem obvious that this is criminal behavior to you and I, but the more I think about it, the more I realize that it's probably not so obvious to many individuals. I feel that should be an important thing that needs to be a part of the educational schooling system, hey? Because if more people understood the damage that they could cause by molesting a minor, I wonder how many that would deter. I also think that it would be helpful to have a deep dive into the legal system, as it would be handy for people to get a better understanding of what trespassing means, theft, and all crimes involving the word attempted. And I really do wonder if Jeff knew that soliciting a minor for sex online was illegal, or what that solicitation actually looked like. Would have he arrived at the house? Would have he even engaged in this conversation at all? I know education won't deter everybody, and it won't fix every problem, but I do think it would be a step in the right direction.
You see how this looks.
Okay, but do you also see that I was pretty apprehensive about the whole sex thing?
His words suggest that all men would have found themselves attracted to this minor. Therefore, his apprehension is understandable, even usable as a defense. If one ever finds themselves with the apprehension to have sex with a minor, then that person should take a good long look at themselves in the mirror and ask the hard-hitting question of, do I have a problem and how do I address it? These thoughts have brought me to a somewhat taboo question which I believe applies to Jeff here, and it's not a question I hear too often. At what age does it become okay for an adult to be physically attracted to a younger person? We all have our standards for what we find attractive. Some people might put more emphasis on physical appearance, whilst others lean towards personality and general chemistry. Whatever one is drawn to within a sexual partner, the hope is that the attraction never falls within the realm of a minor. Yet this is a complicated subject, because each person is unique and different. Some people may look closer to 20 when they're 15, others may look 15 when they're 20, and some people mentally mature faster than others. So where is the line for what is and isn't okay? Many countries say that the age of 16 is that line, but this is a general blanket condition for entry because the topic is so very complicated. 16 may work for some teenagers, and it may be an intensely bad decision for others. But ultimately, this question about when can someone be attracted to a teen is only an issue for anyone who may find themselves attracted to teens. And because the world has the age of consent restrictions in place, it leads me to believe that there are a lot of people out there prowling around for younger people, hey. When it comes to attraction, I fall somewhere in the category, like most people I imagine, to find a mixture of physically appealing appearance and personality-based chemistry is what interests me. With that in mind, throughout my adult life, I have never found myself attracted to anyone remotely close to the line of 16. It just doesn't happen. And because of this, the next part of my tangent may come across as slightly judgmental. I think our society has a deep problem with attraction, especially males being attracted to younger females. And by younger, I mean teenage. Many men will happily say that an 18-year-old is hot, that they would sleep with them, possibly even pursue them romantically. And sure, for most adults who say this, It's just a fun thought, as an 18-year-old is like a mythical creature who exists in another dimension for them, one that they would rarely cross paths with, especially in a setting that could turn sexual. But what if they ever did? What if a man with this mentality found themselves alone with an 18-year-old that they were attracted to? How would they react? It's an interesting thought experiment, is it not? If we agree that some men would attempt to pursue this person sexually, change that number 18 to a mature-looking 17-year-old, maybe even 16, 15 or 14. And to be honest, the older I get, I can't really tell the difference between teenagers specifically on their age anymore, as they all look like kids to me. So my question is, how many men and women exist with this slumbering ability to harm minors? There's no survey out there that can answer that, and I suspect a lot more than I'd like to know about, hey. This doesn't sit well with me, and the problem I believe to be so deep and so not talked about that it creeps into our everyday lives in many ways. An example of this would be the whole schoolgirl thing that many people find sexy. Women dressing up as a sexy schoolgirl for their partners. Schoolgirl strippers being hired for bucks parties. Schoolgirl fantasy porn. And don't even get me started on hentai, lollies, or the teen categories of porn. Whenever I hear of these sexual schoolgirl-based fantasies, my eyebrow is always very raised. The only way I could get behind it is if the male party is also role-playing as a schoolboy as well, but that's about it. This whole teacher schoolgirl, stepfather schoolgirl, and anything adult is really a little on the nose for me. I can somewhat understand it. Miniskirts can be hot, and the fantasy might take people back to a time where they felt more carefree, where love and sex was a little more adventurous and exploratory. But still, even then, I'm not a fan. And I think normalizing this sort of thing is unhelpful to society. Schoolgirls should never be sexualized. And if this is a normal fantasy that people engage with in their mind, especially people who aren't into role-play style sex, it begs the question, as an adult male, is it okay to be secretly attracted to a schoolgirl? Is this the message that we're sending to each other, to our children? Are schoolgirls to be seen as the forbidden fruit for adult males? Little sex objects that are almost ripe for the picking. We can look, but we must never touch. What sort of convoluted world is that? There are so many men who are willing to condemn their fellow man such as Jeff for giving in to this attraction that he had for a minor. Yet that very same man throwing daggers and stones may actually engage in subtle predatory fantasy themselves. I'm aware I may get some hate here. Much like in the Michael Warwicker video, where I'm told that this is a side of sexual exploration and fantasy role-playing that I just don't understand. Therefore, I shouldn't speak too harshly about it without further educating myself. And if that is the case, if you feel this way, be you male or female, to discuss with me the ins and outs of how this works, and why it may not be as predatory as I view it. Until then though, this is the conundrum that my mind faces. Any chance that normalizing this male fantasy means that it normalizes the idea that schoolgirls are hot is a major problem in my eyes. So to speak to Jeff directly here, your apprehension means nothing. The issue that you are in a position to feel that apprehension is the problem.
Well, wouldn't you be? Wouldn't anybody be if they're going to try to have sex with a 13-year-old girl?
To be honest with you, you're not going to believe me, but I don't know who you are, but I'm sure you're like, law enforcement. But
you think I'm law enforcement?
Well, I mean, that's what it sounds like. I was thinking about this on the way down.
Right. You had 2.5 hours to think about it.
And I wasn't gonna. I'm not gonna risk it. That's what I said.
It's not normal for a 44-year-old guy to drive 2.5 hours to hang out with a 13-year-old girl.
I wanted to hang out, see how she was, see if
a 13-year-old girl. How often do you do this sort of thing?
Never done it.
You've never done it. So tonight you just decided, okay, I'm going to drive 2.5 hours.
Oh yeah,
down I-95 from Boston.
Yeah, I've been talking to her
to this
for a
house.
while, and she seemed cool to hang out with. I mean, with that,
You can't find any older girls?
I can, but I had nothing else going on.
So you decided you just come out and hang out with a 13-year-old girl?
Yeah, you can clearly see that I'm very apprehensive about that.
Let's say we meet and really like each other and want to continue seeing each other. How would we do this? Like I said, as long as you're under 16, age of consent, parenthetically, nobody can know about it. I just can't take that chance. What it sounds like here is you're grooming her. testing her to make sure it would be okay if you had sex with her, so no one would find out.
To be honest with you, like I said, when I was on the way down,
Right.
I was thinking about the whole thing, and even before I left,
Right.
I was thinking I'm not going to have sex with her unless it's legal.
What is striking about Jeff, from this point, and especially in the police interview later on, is how casually and confidently he talks about not wanting to do this unless it was illegal. The way he approaches the topic is as though he were planning to smuggle a few boxes of restricted fruit across state lines. The fact that molestation of a minor is illegal is because of how horribly immoral it is, and that seems to be completely lost on this man.
So you talk about a plan to make it legal, to marry her. Right?
Yeah, not in 2 seconds. I mean, like,
So if you like,
Hey, somebody quick, get a close-up of that goddamn pizza. I wonder who in the editor's room was sitting there and made that decision, hey. After seeing it here, I feel as though every good movie needs it. When the scene is getting tense, or romantically heated, when the climax of the film is right around the corner and the villain is telling all. Cut to the pizza for a second or two to really drive the point home. Look at the little wobble going on with that slice. It really conveys a lot of the unspoken emotion that Jeff is feeling. Sensitivity, anxiousness, vulnerability. Who would have thought that such a simple slice of pizza could tell such a vivid story?
you're like next week or the week after, you'd marry a 13-year-old girl.
not next week. No.
So after just a few days worth of chatting, you decide you love her?
No,
You want to have sex with her?
I don't know.
You want to marry her? What do you mean you don't know? She's 13.
I don't know. I was just throwing things out, like, just in case. Maybe I did like her. Maybe it was,
So then you'd marry a 13-year-old girl because she's really cool and you could have sex.
After a while, if it worked out, yeah.
After a while.
Yeah.
Well, like 3 years of dating?
I don't know.
A romantic courtship?
Maybe.
Maybe. So you're cool with all this. You just think this is just fine. Marching here to this home.
I know what you're.
Well, what
getting at
what
here.
else am I supposed to think, Jack?
Do I seem like a dishonest, dirty person?
The question itself may be rhetorical, but every word that comes from a person's mouth originated from their mind and can be used as a trail that leads to a much bigger pool of thought. So let's take a look at this one. Jeff is a human being, with an entire life of experiences and actions behind him. Now I can speculate on what sort of person I think him to be based on his log and this short interview. But the reality is, apart from this incident, he may be a great guy, fun to be around, reliable, and so forth. Many great people have done not so great things. It's what makes humans humans. We can be awesome and we can be awful. And quite often we fluctuate between the two at different points of our lives. I know I have. Mind you, I've never wound up in a situation that would ever see Hansen grilling me for answers, hey. But much like you listening now, you who probably has somewhere in your history things you're not particularly proud of. There are parts of my life that I'm not proud of. How I acted, reacted, and ultimately needed to learn from. So Jeff's line here, although humorous on a surface level, holds a lot of meaning to me, as I believe that many villains do have, at least one point in time, good intentions, ordinary people who have fallen beyond a line of decency without realizing. I'm not saying this to try and elicit sympathy for the man. This is more a general thought on humanity overall. So to focus it on Jeff here, the line, "Do I seem like a dishonest, dirty person?" shows to me that he has some level of pride in who he is. He doesn't regard himself as one of the scum of society that Chris seems to be lumping him in with. This shows to me that he probably puts a lot of emphasis in the way he looks, and how he is seen by others. And although he probably would agree that his chat log doesn't sound too wholesome, he knows that he is presentable and believes that he has good intentions. The comment about being dirty in particular leads me to believe that appearance and presentation are things that he holds in high regard. The better a person presents, the more of an honest and wholesome person they should be judged as. Ultimately though, an individual is a poor judge of their own character, because they know too much about themselves. For every wrong, they can see 10 rights, and the scales of good and bad can become confused. This can be seen with Jeff right here, as it seems he is basing the leniency which he provides his own actions on a person that he believes himself to be. The person who in fact sits in front of Chris right now is a dirty, dishonest predator. Chris doesn't need to know anything more about the man other than his chat log, and neither do you or I, as this is a defining point in his life. And when a person enters these defining moments, the one who walks through the door is the one who they'll be judged as, and unfortunately for Jeff, is likely who he will forever be remembered.
I mean, do I seem like it to you?
This chat seems like it. It seems like someone who at 44 years old.
Chat is chat.
Chat is chat, but showing up is showing up. And guess what, Jeff? You showed up. At a home where you knew a 13-year-old girl would be alone after a sexually charged conversation online. You come in, oh, I want to hug you.
Yeah.
The little girl is nervous. You do it with everybody.
Yeah.
You do that every time you meet a 13-year-old girl.
I do it when I meet somebody for the first time. I hug them.
But this somebody is not an adult, Jeff. She's 13.
Can you please tell me who you are?
I'll tell you what.
I'm trying to be nice here.
Okay. So am I.
Jeff has sat in this uncomfortable situation for long enough, and with that last round of grilling, it seems as though he's had enough, throwing a subtle threat in there to move things along. Subtle manipulations to dominate moments seems to be a running theme for Jeff.
But you're not answering all my questions.
I will. Can you just tell me who you are?
I'm Chris Hansen, and this is an investigation called Hansen versus Predator. So if there's anything else you want people to know, anything you want to say, now would be a good time to say it.
I can't believe this is happening.
Did you bring any sort of a marriage contract?
No.
So what was all that talk about?
I don't want to talk anymore.
Okay. You can leave.
On camera.
You can leave.
What do you mean I can leave?
You can leave.
And then what?
That's not up to me.
Who's it up to?
What a good question, hey? And the only predator from memory that I can recall who was asked it. His defiance, mixed with perception and intelligence at times, is rather impressive. If only he used those traits for good. I bet he would have been a right pain for his teachers to deal with in school, hey?
It's not up to me. You didn't have to come here, you know. What do you do for a living, John?
I don't want to talk anymore. There's
Insurance business, right?
cameras rolling.
Insurance?
I don't want to talk anymore.
All right. As I said, you're free to leave.
Can you shut it off?
I cannot shut it off now.
I mean, what is this?
It's an investigation for a television program called Hansen versus Predator, where we investigate grown people who go online and try to create inappropriate, illegal relationships with underage children. So unless you have something else to say, now would be a good time to go.
I don't have anything else to say.
All right, then. You can take your pizza if you like.
You want a slice?
I'm good, thank you very much.
So the cops here?
We'll see.
Okay. Or if they're here, just bring them in.
It'd be best if you went out that way.
Grab a jacket.
It's a rather somber little moment, isn't it? I wanted to let it play out so you could experience the flow of it before breaking it into pieces. I wondered how that glance over to Hansen's security guy would have felt for Jeff. He's observing his surroundings. All of these people appeared from nowhere, and for a split second he catches a look at the security guard, a man who is not hiding behind any equipment like the camera guys. Just two silent men that lock eyes. We'll see Jeff swiftly look away. Was this shame, disappointment, frustration? It's all pent up in this brief, silent few seconds. One can never truly know what he is feeling here, but if I were to speculate, it's anguish.
What do you do for a living, Jeff?
I don't want to talk anymore. There's
Insurance business, right?
cameras rolling.
Insurance?
I don't want to talk anymore.
All right. As I said, you're free to leave.
Can you shut it off?
I cannot shut it off now.
I mean, what is this?
It's an investigation for a television program called Hansen versus Predator, where we investigate grown people who go online and try to create inappropriate illegal relationships with underage children.
That's one of the more interesting descriptions that Hansen has given for his Operation Hey, catching people who try to create inappropriate relationships with children. I personally like this description far more than catching men who are trying to have sex with children, as I'm certain many predators, in their moment of painful denial, would be convinced that they weren't going to have sex. Yet, creating an inappropriate relationship is really something even the most stubborn of predators could not dispute.
So unless you have something else to say, now would be a good time to go.
I don't have anything else to say.
All right then. You can take your pizza if you like.
You want a slice?
I believe that the offer for a slice of pizza could be two things. Maybe he is trying to maintain face for the cameras. Cameras that he probably thinks have only been rolling since they entered the room. If this is the case, in his mind, they've got barely any footage of him or what he said. So as long as he can keep cool and controlled, he might come out of this looking half decent. Or it could be a nervous reaction. No meaning behind it at all, other than a man who doesn't want to stand up and walk out of this room. Someone who doesn't want to transition from who he was before this night to whom he is about to become. And requesting if pizza would be something Hansen likes is procrastination, a staller to prevent the inevitable crash which is coming up.
I'm good, thank you very much.
So the cops here?
We'll see.
Hansen seems to enjoy crushing the defiant ones the most. His line, "We'll see," comes across as though he is letting this challenger know that the battle has well and truly been won.
Okay. Or if they're here, just bring them in.
Defiant till the end, and trying to grip anything that he can possibly dictate, now requests for Hansen to bring the police in. That way, if he is to be arrested, at least it'll be on his own terms. People who are losing control over situations will often grasp for any little thing that they can win, something to help them feel like their life is still theirs. One might see people ask for that one more cigarette before being arrested, or trying to get the last word in on an argument that's been lost, even if that word is nothing but childish noises and mockery. As Jeff's request here is denied, he will follow the commands given to him, but he'll put on a display to show that it is unwilling obedience.
It'd be best if you went out that way.
Grab a jacket.
Just out for the garage.
And so that's Jeff Sokol, hey? Well, it's not entirely Jeff Sokol. As released to the public, there is footage of the police interview conducted, and a stone, which I was not prepared to leave unturned for this video. This is a rather lengthy interview, so you will notice at points I'll be fast forwarding. I'll be letting a bit of it play out at first before interrupting, so that you can get an idea of how it all feels. If the full unedited version is something that interests you, I'll leave a link in the description.
I was just looking to meet her, and I know you're not going to believe me, but I honestly was not planning on having sex with her. I know the texts talk about that, but it's talk. I mean, I wasn't planning on having sex with her unless it was right and legal to do it. I don't know if I would have or not either, but I was not going to do it.
What do you mean by right and legal to do?
Well, I mean, she seemed like somebody, you know, that was mature and, you know, somebody that, you know, that would be fun to hang out with. And so I wanted to meet her and find out if she was what I thought she was.
Are you married?
No.
Have you been married?
Yeah.
Divorced?
Yeah.
How long?
Like 10
10 years or more?
11 years, yeah.
Any kids?
No.
What was the reason for the dissolution of the marriage? Any major issue with the ex-wife?
No.
Or she with you? Or?
No, it was just a mutual breakup.
And how about dating and things since then? Do you have relationships? Have you had any recently?
Yeah, I mean, a few here and there. Yeah.
What was the last one? You talked, I know in the text there was like some mention of like a marriage contract. I don't know if it's a religious thing or something else, but what's the deal with the marriage certificate? What was that whole conversation? Or a marriage agreement or a contract you talked about?
Well, I know I was joking at one time when I said, "Is it in the contract?" I was joking.
Was there a mention of like bringing some type? I mean, maybe it was in jest, but did you mention bringing some type of marriage contract or something like that?
No, it wasn't. No. Bringing something? No.
Did you mention having her sign it, or you signing it, or both of you signing it? I mean, I can go get the paperwork. Unfortunately it's an inch thick, but there's some conversation about that. I just want to know.
Yeah, there was conversation. There was conversation about that. I was just explaining to her that people could get married by just signing a contract. Signing marriage documents.
But you're talking about a 12-year-old girl, right? And it's kind of.
Yeah.
I think you could probably even
14, but yeah, she said she was 14. But okay.
She was 14?
I know, it's young.
And 14 is that big of a difference anyway? Is like you're 44?
Difference to me.
Because neither are legal, you know that,
Mm-hmm.
right? The age of consent is 16, which is, in my mind, too young also, but.
It's at this point that the detective is provided the chat log so he can familiarize himself with it.
I didn't think it was against the law to meet with somebody and just hang out and talk to them.
You probably, I don't know.
Is it? Just like hang out with somebody?
To hang out?
If I had sex with her, yeah, that would be against the law, but they didn't
Okay,
do
so
that.
let's just take a step back. So let's just say you never got divorced from your wife and you had a daughter. You said it was 10 years ago, right? Give or take, you got divorced. So let's just say as a result of that marriage, you had a daughter or a son who was 10, 12, 13 years old. And it's Friday night and you and your wife, hey honey, hey, whatever your daughter's name is, Caitlin, we're going to run out to dinner and stay out a little bit late. You can stay at home and you come to find out, they walk in, there's a 44-year-old guy from, 200 miles or 100 and something miles away. Is everybody cool with that? You're cool with that?
Well, obviously, at first, no.
At first?
Yeah, when they first walk in, it's not going to be cool. But if it was somebody like me, I don't think there's a threat.
Alrighty, I've left you alone long enough. So let's start picking this thing apart. What Jeff is talking about here is a form of emotionally abusive and child grooming mentality. It is documented that a child groomer will often view themselves as a positive force in the child's life. To fully understand how this mentality can apply to a criminal situation, and in particular Jeff's situation, we will have to look at the 6 stages of child grooming. These are targeting the victim, gaining the child's and/or the caregiver's trust, filling a need, isolating the child, sexualizing the relationship, and then maintaining control. Some groomers engage in these stages very consciously, fully aware of the horror that they inflict on the minor, whereas others have no clue that this is the behavior in which they engage. During the chat log portion of this situation, we actually saw all 6 stages occur, and this is not uncommon for the predator logs. The decoys will often allow for the predator to speedily rush through the stages, signaling to the man at each checkpoint that they are ready for the next. Yet in the real world, these stages generally occur at a much slower rate, taking months, even years to complete. As I believe Jeff is in the category of predator that is not fully aware of what he is doing, his questions about is it illegal to visit a child, followed by I would be understanding if my daughter was visited by a 44-year-old man, as long as they were like me, is a keen insight into that mentality. I'll look at the stages closely and see how they apply to our friend here alongside the decoy's work. Whilst he was targeting the minor, she indicated to him that she thought he was attractive. Therefore, the targeting is easily non-predatory in his mind, as it's a mutual attraction, gaining the child's trust. Trust is not established easily and takes time. The conversations that Jeff and the decoy had together over the span of 3 weeks, that there is the process of building trust. Nothing in particular had to be discussed, but he is showing the minor that he can be a constant in her life, always available to talk. He told her many times that he doesn't mind if she messages him whenever, and that he is always happy to hear from her. In his mind, he's being sweet. He's doing her a favor by being someone who is positive in her life, a friend that's always there. The third stage, filling a need. Often this will be an emotional need. A minor is struggling emotionally with the divorce of their parents or bullying at school, and the predator will target this weakness, then fulfill the need, giving the minor a safe space to cry, to hang out, somewhere to escape from the difficulties of their life. Other needs that can be fulfilled are material ones. If the carer or parents of the child are the ones whose trust the predator is obtaining, possibly the child's carer mightn't own a vehicle, and the predator will offer to drive the child around, or possibly they are low on money, and the predator will support them financially, buying them gifts and supplies. What we saw in this log was that the decoy was somewhat struggling emotionally with her move from California to CT. She didn't really like it in her new place, felt isolated, and like her mother doesn't understand her. The boys in her school are stupid, and she hadn't made many friends yet. Jeff fills this need by telling her that he is her person in Boston now. He is her people. He offers to show her around and acts as an understanding adult in her life, acknowledging the difficulties that she's going through, but also trying to get her to see the positive in this change. Life is full of change, he tells her, and meeting new people, going to new places. It's all a part of the process of growing. He has begun to become an understanding adult in her life, a trusted friend whom she can talk to about her struggles. And of course, he easily can view this, once again, as a very positive thing for the girl. Next up, we have isolating the child. The predator will work to convince the child that their friends are no good, that no one understands them like the predator does. This is to sever the child's connection with people that can actually help them when things become confusing, and it also serves to create a void where the child desperately needs support. Therefore, the predator can slot themselves into the child's life as the sole emotional life jacket, something which the child will reach for once they realize that they're floating around in an ocean alone. This stage is manipulative and ugly. I actually didn't see Jeff do too much of this one. The extent of it was his mention that people her age are immature, and his constant discussions about how they must keep their relationship secret. He told her that she can't tell anyone, ever, not even her mother, yet we didn't really see him badmouth anyone from her life. He didn't tell her that her friends or parents are no good. In fact, the opposite. He said that her mum seems like a smart lady. Let's say for the argument that whenever the decoy mentioned that her mother was annoying, Jeff could have said something like, "You should move away from home. Run away. Don't listen to your mother, as she's old-fashioned and overbearing." And if that were the case, if he said these things, then that's clear examples of isolating. And also the predator can sell it to themselves that they are helping. They can convince themselves that the mother truly is a bad person in the child's life, and they're getting them away from danger, helping the child to be who they're meant to be. Sexualizing the relationship is pretty straightforward. The predator will slowly and casually introduce sex to the minor in very small ways. Possibly they will shower naked together one day, or he will encourage them to skinny dip at an isolated beach, because it's natural and fun, normalizing the view of his naked adult body. Possibly he'll get her to touch him, saying that he is itchy and she's helping him, or to rub him and say it's a massage, or vice versa. There are many ways in which a predator sexualizes a relationship, and usually it happens very slowly, so not to raise the child's alarm. Jeff did a version of this by slowly and steadily introducing sex to the conversation. Sex itself was not outright introduced, but instead he asked her opinion of other people who have sex. I believe this stage of grooming was heavily thwarted by his own paranoia. Therefore, we didn't see him engage with it much, But it was coming, and I speculate that due to her comments about her previous experience with sex being underwhelming, he could easily sell the idea to himself that he is going to make this special for her, to have sex with her like a man does, not a boy, and that he will be better for her in this regard than any of those stupid teenagers who will just want to use her body and then throw her away once they're done. Now we're at the final stage, maintaining control. And again, we didn't see much of this late game stage. But the tendrils of control were being established. Like I mentioned earlier on, there were many things he did and said which are early warning signs for abusive relationships. Many little examples that show he was building connection with her, and once he would have had her trust and love, he was in a prime position to begin the stages of emotional abuse. A key result of emotional abuse being control. Control can be maintained in a variety of ways though, not only in an obviously abusive way. The predator can control financially. If you tell anyone, I will stop the gifts or taking you to nice places, they can be controlled lovingly. If you love me, you'll do this. Guilt can be used to control. If you tell anyone, I'll go to jail, you'll ruin my life. If you leave me, I'll kill myself. Or it can be controlled violently. If you tell anyone, I'll hurt you, or I'll hurt your family members or pets. Focusing it on what we know Jeff said, it looks like he was going to control through emotional ties and guilt, and if that's the case, he can easily sell this to himself as a positive, because he loves her. He's doing what he needs to do to continue to be a big part of her life, and that's a good thing. And so there we have it. It makes perfect sense why the man would argue that he would be fine with his young teenage daughter dating someone like him, because deep down, I do think that Jeff believes that he could have brought more good to this miner's life than harm.
But how do they know what your intention is? You're talking about blowjobs and pics.
Yeah, they don't.
Other issues. You're not talking about maybe some common interest of music or sports, which is also, I mean, the whole thing would be weird. I think just what everybody would think. I think you actually would too. It's unhealthy and strange. A 44-year-old guy, what's he got in touch with, in common with a 12 or 14-year-old girl? And why, if he lived in a big metropolitan area, would he drive whatever the distance was 2 hours away on a Saturday night?
Isn't that all speculation?
To me,
I mean, it's
what's the speculation? I'm looking at this.
You're speculating that I was going to have sex with her tonight.
Because that's what you said.
I didn't say that.
You didn't say that? Well,
No.
tell me what you said.
Well, we talked about having sex, but that doesn't mean...
Isn't that strange?
It doesn't mean I was going to. Tonight.
Well, yeah, tonight, maybe tomorrow, maybe next week.
Maybe when she's 16.
But where's that in the conversation?
I don't know, it might be
Did you
in
mention that?
there.
I think you did.
It might be in there. I mean, I mentioned that I was looking... I looked into like the laws and stuff about, minors. I was looking into those.
Why would you do that?
No, because I was going to meet a minor. And, to hang out with them.
So you knew there was an issue. Otherwise you wouldn't research it.
Yeah, but there's an issue if you do this and this and this. But because, and this is just, I was looking, I was just like looking down the road, like let's say I did like her and she liked me, why not? I mean,
there's an imbecilic sincerity to what he believes in this moment. A tightrope that he is walking in his mind, not realizing that his understanding of rules which govern us all are incorrect. Do I think he sincerely believes that he wouldn't have pursued sex with her on that night? In this moment, I do. Do I also believe that he would have pushed her away had she come on to him? Not for a second.
But this is somebody you've never met before.
I know, I was just thinking out loud, looking at the big picture, that's all. Doesn't mean I was going to like do what I was going, what I was.
Is that like your, lack of a better description, like your cup of tea, like you want some very young girlfriend or bride?
No.
Is that like some fantasy you have?
No.
Which is fine if that's what your fantasy is. I just want to know where you're coming from.
I took a liking particularly to her, and she happened to be.
This is through all chatting or texting, right?
Exactly.
Somebody you never even met.
Correct.
So for the sake of talking, it could have been, it wasn't, but it could have been me posing as this girl. You wouldn't know who you're talking
Could have
about.
been, yeah. Could have been.
It's not like you saw her or spent time with her.
Well, that's why I came down, is to see if I had a connection with her. If you, what was your name again?
It's Detective Kelly.
There is no good cop here.
And to be honest, yeah, of course, from what I saw, she's, beautiful and everything, but I was not going to risk anything by having sex with her. I just wanted to meet her and hang out with her, and I was going to go home.
You were going to meet her, hang out
I
with her.
I can't trust anybody, and obviously now, even more so, but,
How do you think we and she feel?
well, see, I get it, I get it, you guys.
We're trying to protect the innocent and the vulnerable, right?
Yeah, but
Just like when you were that age and I was that age, you wouldn't want some guy, attacking you.
if he's dangerous, yeah, of course not.
You would have to tell me what the attraction is.
It's never happened before, never.
But we're talking like 12 years old. It's like 6th, 7th grade. You know what I mean? It's a young human
They
being.
keep saying 12.
Well, you want me to use your term and say 14?
I mean, I know they're both young, but it's a little bit, different.
Is it being a teenager? Is that the big hump that you need to hear? Like, okay, she's a teenager. She's 13, she's not 12. She's 14, she's not 12.
It's 2 years older.
Yeah, still 2 years under the age of majority, right? Certainly not, worldly or mature enough to consent to anything. Right? Doesn't have the legal right to do it, never mind. Because why? Because they're very young, so they need to be protected.
Can I ask you something?
Sure.
Why, if you thought I came down there to have sex, why didn't you wait and see if that happened?
Holy smokes. Well, the detective will address this as well, but I can't let it slide without passing comment, hey. By this logic, the decoy would have a far more uncomfortable job than they already do. Where does the line get drawn? When do the police say enough is enough and pounce? Is it when he tries to kiss her? But surely then, couldn't he say a kiss doesn't mean anything? Barely a step up from a hug. So, do they instead let them make out for a bit? And wait for the removal of his pants? Then, with his pants around his ankles, they wait for him to announce to the room that he will now be penetrating her. Like, come on. That's how ridiculous it sounds to me. I mean, in his defense, the predator would have a pretty hard time denying their intentions at that point, hey. Maybe Jeff is onto something here. Maybe the decoys need to endure a little more discomfort for the greater good of the world. I am, of course, joking. Jeff's idea is thoroughly a terrible one.
Why would I want to put that girl that was in the house through any kind of a horrible experience that could get really out of hand really quickly?
Okay, I get
and
you.
no offense.
I got you, but
There was like
I don't mean having
several
sex.
cops there and other able-bodied guys.
Right.
You'd be in probably some kind of pain at the end of it, because if you got maybe your clothes up and you're trying to grab her, we come in not knowing what you're capable of.
I know.
Why not do it like as much as we can as a gentleman? You're seated. Chris Hansen speaks to you. You're free to go. You were compliant. We were, didn't throw you on the ground or anything. We handcuffed you. We brought you in. You know what I mean? Why would you want to take it to another level where it's horrible? And she has to go through that, several times, because there's several different guys like yourself that are coming to meet her? Would you want to do that to anybody? Like, honestly.
No, it's
Put her, even the hug. As soon as you got there, you're trying to hug a girl that you've never met.
well, it's, all right, that's not true.
Well, maybe it is. I mean, I understand from your standpoint you probably want to, but from her standpoint, you're a total stranger, and she's probably a little creeped out by it.
She was cool with everything and just wanted to hang out and, have pizza. I mean, I honestly, that's why I was there. I was trying to do things make it so I wasn't breaking the law. If I decided at some point that I wanted to, have any relations with her, I was trying to make sure that it was legal.
What an outstanding person, hey. Someone needs to award the man with a Presidential Citizen's Medal. He didn't need to try and make it legal, but he did. That's how honest a man he is. At the expense of his own energy, time, and sanity, he was doing his best to make this very understandable, highly relatable, unfortunately illegal activity legal.
Otherwise, I wasn't going to do anything.
Explain that a little bit.
If I came down and I liked her, she liked me, and
Right.
she was cool, and I didn't feel like she was, too immature or too young or too, the same, if I felt like I was on the same, level as her, like, emotionally and whatnot, I wanted to, I didn't want to do anything that was breaking the law. So that's why I researched that stuff. I would never, that's like ridiculous that you guys thought that I would bring a contract down.
Having been allowed to ramble for quite a long time, Jeff possibly thinks that the detective is beginning to see it from his side, and he tries to treat the detective like a buddy. He says, "That's ridiculous that you guys thought I was going to bring a contract down." With this, he's trying to establish himself as on the same level as the police. "Oh, you guys, I got you. We're always goofing around, aren't we? Can't believe you all took this one so seriously." It's a type of speech that is seen amongst people who are bonded as friends, and Jeff is trying to force some fragment of that bond, probably hoping for leniency. But a spoiler alert, the attempt to lighten the mood does not work.
And you think you might be on the same wavelength as her?
There's plenty of, young people I see on TV that are pretty smart, pretty mature.
13.
They're out there, yeah.
No, there might be, I don't know, there could be a couple out there. I think either they could be mature, but maybe they look like a little kid, or they could look older, but they're very immature. There's a reason these laws are in place, right? To protect people.
Right, and I said that to her.
Meaning what? I'm still, you kind of expounded on it before, but you're like, I want to do things with her, so in case I did have feelings for her and I liked her, like it would be legal. I don't know what that means. She's still, let's just say 13, because you mentioned 13 right here. So how does that still make it legal?
I don't know, she said she was turning 14, but okay. How does it make what legal?
You just said that. How would it make it okay if you're going to do things with her and she's 13 and you ultimately had relations with her, intercourse? How does it make it legal?
It wouldn't unless her mom consented to marriage. It's the only way it would be legal.
So you're gonna marry a 13-year-old girl with her mother's permission?
Maybe when she's 16, I would do that.
I did have to take a moment to laugh at this one, hey. Has this guy ever met a 16-year-old before? I could think of few ideas worse than marrying one, hey. And I don't mean to offend any 16-year-olds out there. I know some of you guys are brilliant. But you do have a lot of life to live. You have a lot of lessons to learn on your own, and with people at similar points in their lives. I was listening not too long ago to a psychologist who specialized in teenage behavior, and she stated that it doesn't matter how intelligent a teenager may be, how brilliant, academic, controlled and calm, that teenager, at some point, is going to make a stupid decision. It is how the teenage brain is designed. It's made to make stupid, poor, irrational, and reactionary-based decisions upon impulse. For very intentional reasons, the adolescent brain needs to learn its boundaries, and it does this by risk-taking. Even the most level-headed teenager can find themselves in a situation where impulse, peer pressure, and curiosity take control, and they inevitably make a poor decision. It's how teenagers learn, and it should be encouraged within reason, because if they don't take risks, or aren't given the space to make mistakes, it is common for that teenager to grow into a destructive adult. A teenager that never makes any poor decisions is truly an anomaly in our world, and any teenager that's agreeing to marry a 44-year-old man is making a pretty poor decision. It's the adult's job to recognize this and to remove their developed and tainted sexual mind from the equation.
Why is that like so hard to believe?
Why is it hard to believe?
Yeah, that could happen.
I can't say I've even ever heard of it. Actually,
If I wanted to like,
maybe in other countries it happens.
wanted to not break the law, that's what I would have to do.
You would marry her now.
I
You're
haven't broken the law.
44. She's 13.
Yeah, I haven't broken the law. I mean, so that's the thing. It's all like you're speculating what I was going to do based on conversations.
You also drove here. You didn't just like have chats that you're bad enough.
So what?
You actually drove 2 hours. You're like basically my age. You drove 2 hours to meet a girl. Most guys.
Yeah, you're putting it all together, right? Most guys would.
Most guys younger than us, our age, older than us, if given the opportunity,
Right.
they might get in the car on a Saturday night and drive 2 hours if they think they're going to find, something that feels good at the end of the rainbow. But are they just going to do it to maybe meet somebody?
Most guys? So you're saying most guys, so it's like...
You're driving from Boston.
You're saying most guys.
Right.
That's not me.
The argument here is that most guys who would put the effort and time into doing what Jeff did would have an expectation for some sort of sexual result. If we remove the gender and sexual nature of this statement and observe it from a more broad angle, I do find it to be rather interesting, as most people would want a satisfactory result to effort they've expended. To say that one doesn't would border on lunacy. People study for years on end with the goal to obtain credentials. We expend enormous energy into activities with the goal to improve and accomplish. We invest large sums of money into financial endeavors with the hope of good return. This is human nature. And although every person may invest themselves into different activities, the common denominator is that they want some sort of result that benefits them at the end. Otherwise, why would they do it? When looking at human nature, this pattern occurs over and over, and very rarely do we see energy expended on something with no prize at the end of the rainbow, as the detective so eloquently put it. I would even argue that at the times when people spend energy on something that won't benefit them, the reason would be that the outcome will benefit someone that they know. Therefore, the positive outcome for the other party acts as a satisfactory extension of themselves. The argument would be that there are people out there who are completely selfless, who give without any expectation that they will receive. And even then, I would argue that these people attain reward in ways not so obvious to the naked eye. I'm looking at you Buddhists out there, hey, achieving nirvana. The human experience, when looked at in this way, is all about expending energy and receiving reward, and I do find it fascinating when watching the world with this lens. With that all in mind, when viewing Jeff's rebuttal that he isn't like most guys, this really makes no sense. He has admitted that he doesn't care for her emotionally, and was actually en route to meet her to get to know her better. This is a selfish endeavor for the man. So what could his reason be then? To get to know her as he claims? But that sounds like another step in the ladder of expending energy rather than the end goal. So what is at the top of the ladder then? The only answer I see is sex. So unfortunately for you, Jeff, you can claim that you're not like most guys, but the reality is you are. You're just another human being like all of us, and humans have patterns. Your pattern here does not look good.
What are you? Tell me who you are. Because based on the text and the behavior you exhibited, I'd say you fit right in there. You just happen to like them much younger than what's normal.
Maybe.
Or illegal.
Maybe I enjoy just, talking about it. I don't know.
With a 12 or 13-year-old girl. That's a problem. I don't know you. I never saw you before in my life. That's a major league problem.
Didn't seem like it.
Didn't seem like what?
Just seemed more mature than that. more than, you know.
Compared to what? Like a 28-year-old woman, like a 22-year-old girl? You're talking about a 12 or 13-year-old girl, and she's what, acting like she's 18? Yeah, so what? She still tells you she's 13 years old. You're 44. I mean, seriously, that's a major league problem.
According to the law, it is.
But according to what, you, it's not?
In my head.
In your head,
knowing what I was there for. Knowing that I was not dangerous, that I was not a threat to her, that I was not planning on having sex.
Not planning on having sex. What if you just happen to meet a girl that is like, you know what, for whatever reason, she's only 12 or 13, but man, she's a pistol, and she's all over you. What are you going to do, push her away?
Yeah, if I know I can go to jail, I would.
You would?
Oh, yes.
And why did you bring the Cialis?
You know what, that was in my car.
We've reached the point where I'll be discussing the medication that Jeff ingested at the moment of pizza consumption. Well after this night is over, during his sentencing hearing, Jeff would argue that this pill was actually cholestyramine, a medication for irritable bowel syndrome, something that he has suffered his entire life. Yet from this point of the interview onward, as you all see, there is zero mention of that medication with the detective, not even a refutal that it wasn't the erection enhancer Cialis. And it's at this point where pretty much every little argument that Jeff has constructed, stating that he wasn't here for sex on this specific night, it all comes crashing down for me. Personally, I found this to come as a surprise. Call me naive, but there was that part of my mind which thought, do you know what? Quite possibly he might have rejected her advances had she pushed herself onto him. Quite possibly he is such a sad individual who craves emotional connection following his divorce, that he really is trying to search for love in the wrong places. And even though he's grooming a child here, maybe he might have woken up after being in her presence for some time and left. The revelation that he took an erection enhancer shatters that naivety beyond repair, as I am now convinced that not only was he hoping for sexual intercourse, but possibly would have even used some of that charm and persuasion to verbally push for it.
I don't care where it was. It was in your pocket.
You,
I found it.
yeah, I didn't want to leave it in the car.
And I said, what's in here? Just I believe it said like CVS, either ibuprofen or something like that. You're like, yeah, that's all it is. And then we researched it. It's just
right. Sorry, I just.
You're not even. Like, why don't you tell me the truth?
I just got handcuffed. I just got handcuffed. I don't even remember answering you, to be honest with you. But
no big deal. But it's not like you had some other medicine. Like I don't want to pick out of the top of my head. That's like completely unrelated to any kind of sexual interlude. This is like right up that alley, right? It's correct. You don't see a problem with any of this, like honestly.
I didn't say that.
Well, so you see a problem with it?
I see a potential problem.
Do you have like?
Honestly, Detective, I did not think I was breaking the law to come meet a girl. I honestly didn't. If you read the whole text, read everything, you can see how scared I was to meet her. Just
listen.
Just the whole scared of the whole situation.
You're scared of her for basically one reason, and the reason is that your clear intention was to have sex with her. Because if it truly was just to meet somebody, you wouldn't even be nervous about it. You'd be like, screw it. I have no interest in having sex with this girl.
It's a situation.
Just chatting. My right hand to God, and I'll swear to the parents, and they could be home for that matter. I'd love to meet them too, and my intentions are pure. Your intentions were not pure. That's why you had the reservations you had, right?
Listen, I know what I'm capable of.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I know you think that I'm bullshitting you.
No, you're trying to like kind of massage the corners, but do I think you're realizing and being honest with yourself and with me about what you did? No, I don't actually. But I mean, you're talking about it, and I appreciate that, but you're not
Just because
If you truly looked in the mirror and thought about what's going on or what you did tonight,
that's just because I don't feel like I did anything wrong.
having sex with the girl and her pussy and and send me a pic and everything else, and you're only 13 and I'm 44, and then you research the statutes and you drive 2 hours on a Saturday night and you bring Cialis with you, and there's a reference of a marriage contract because that'll somehow make it legal. It's fucked up.
It really is, hey. It's fucked up. I have nothing of importance to add, really. Detective Kelly has got this one.
Honestly, like, be honest with yourself. You don't have, you can try to bullshit me all day long. It doesn't really matter to me. Most of the people that I talk to aren't exactly honest. I'm driving 2 hours to meet a 12-year-old because I'm sure she's got a wonderful conversation and she's really interesting to chat to. You have a college degree. Where do you work?
If I was planning on having sex, I would have taken the Cialis at home and just left it there.
I don't know. For all I know, you took one already.
As we are all very aware, he has taken one already. The effects of Cialis will take effect half an hour after consumption and can last up to 36 hours. So let's hope that nothing happens during this interview that turns Jeff on, hey? Because, if so, before the detective will have a chance to react, there'll be 3 members in the room. The detective, Jeff, and that cheeky erection.
Maybe you took one at home, maybe you brought another one in case it was a phenomenal night, right? Or for tomorrow if you slept over.
I told you I had it in my car. I rely on it when I date girls and stuff, so, because I have issues with that, so.
How about, like, I mean, I know you're doing the texting thing. Were there any, younger girl kind of adolescent pornography either at your house or in your car or anything? Images, computer images, phone images?
I'm gonna look at my phone now.
Did you send her pictures?
Yeah. Yeah, me.
Such as you? Like what? Dick pics?
No.
Naked chest? What? Let's see.
Those are all my pictures.
This is of her or just you?
No, it's just like pictures that are on my phone. Sent a random picture today. I just like took a picture of myself with my Brown shirt.
With your what, Brown shirt?
Yeah. It's at the bottom.
I'm unsure if this is appropriate to joke about or not, but I've spent quite a lot of time with our friend Jeff now, and my mind is starting to wander. I find it amusing, over the next few seconds or so, that the 2 men resemble schoolboys talking about girls.
Who's the girl September 16th? Friend of yours? Girlfriend? Whatever?
Yeah, it's just somebody that I was chatting with that sent me pictures on the same site.
Did she send you any pictures, this girl?
Who?
The girl from today.
No. Oh, yeah, she has.
Naked?
No.
Not naked?
Never asked for anything naked.
This is in your underwear, which is fine, but is that going, it's not going to her?
That one never went to her.
I mean, I'm sure you can understand why not only it's illegal, but it's just like flat wrong that anybody our age would be doing something like this. I mean, you're looking at it as puzzled look like it's not a big deal.
No,
And I don't even know you, but I feel bad that you're not somehow comprehending it. It's like so wrong, it's not even, you can't even discuss it. And if you actually think it's okay,
no, that's not what I'm saying.
or even kind of okay, or situationally okay, it's like you need serious help, honestly. You really do. Because that's just fucked up.
I'm not saying that it's okay. I never said that. So when you catch these, whatever you want to call them, sex, you catch these people meeting with minors.
Yeah. Like we go to you.
The detective was not going to let him get away with separating himself from the other sex offenders, hey?
Right. So you got me in the house and everything, and I just I had no idea what was going on. You always do it like that?
Always? No, there's all kinds of ways that things like this come to light. There's times when something like this happens, and there's times when a parent calls because I just caught my 15-year-old daughter or whatever texting some guy who says he's 30, come to find out he's 44 or whatever, and they want the guy arrested for statutory rape, and
see, I thought it was against the law to have sex, to actually have sex, and then let's say I had sex tonight, and then somebody found out that I was with her, and they did some sort of.
Why would we want to wait until that happens?
I don't know. I mean,
it's kind of like saying, well, wait till the guy robs the bank before you move in. No, if we have probable cause to believe that these guys are about to rob a bank, why am I putting the freaking tellers' lives and innocent people in jeopardy? Or in this case, the girl in the kitchen with a hat on. I'm gonna let you grope her and feel her up and take your clothes off so that what? I have a stronger case?
See,
fuck that. You know what I mean? It ain't happening.
This is the problem with society.
What's the problem?
That law enforcement looks at, well, all kinds of people just think that men are pigs and all they want is sex.
The problem with society. So we're going there, hey? Alright, strap yourselves in, everyone, because I might be here for a while. It would appear that Jeff has turned to philosophical musings about the problems which he sees with society. So let's do it then. Let's go there. If I understand correctly, the problem with society, in Jeff's opinion, is that people think all men are pigs, and a healthy, non-sexual relationship between adult and minor cannot be had, leading law enforcement to heavy-handedly set up these sting operations, catching potentially innocent and well-intentioned men in an unfair trap. So if I am interpreting this correctly, I disagree wholeheartedly. The problem with society is not that at all. The problems with society run deep and extend wide. They are intricate and complicated, intertwined amongst each other like pythons, strangling each other for access to prey. Sex, and the problematic role which it plays in our modern Western society, is but one of many. So let's talk about it. My issue with sex and society is that the act of intercourse is both glorified and tabooified at the same time. Sex is a natural act that is required to keep the human race going. Something that is not special, yet ultimately special at the same time. A communication between individuals using a language that predates any language we know. And unfortunately, it's something that has become weaponized to make enormous amounts of money. I'm not going to get into the full explanation of what I think here, because frankly, I don't know how long that would take, and the whole thing would end up becoming a video about the problems I see with society. But there is one part of the problem I just mentioned which I'll focus on, and I'll try to summarize it, as I do feel it to be relevant here. And that being pornography. You've probably heard me say this before, but I don't think highly of pornography, hey. In saying that, I don't think it's completely unhealthy either. There's a time and a place, and the acts depicted are important to factor into the equation. A large amount of people consume this content regularly. Therefore, it plays a big part in their sexual psyches, whether they know it or not. The problem I see, especially in this day and age, that with such easy access to pornographic material, the male mind becomes desensitized when consuming it in heavy amounts, and it requires more and more extreme acts performed to achieve the same level of sexual satisfaction. Acts that have become so extreme that I would argue they do not resemble sex anymore, but rather torture. It's not so much a depiction of individuals enjoying the act of sex, but more so a game of shock and awe, as women and men push their body and minds to the extreme to see where their limits are. The viewer's sexual gratification, not coming from the enjoyment of pleasure, but more the endurance of pain and humiliation. This is what dwells at each person's fingertips, always a fraction of a second away at any given time, and by many, watching this stuff is classed as very normal. People watch porn every day, sometimes multiple times a day, And this is seen as okay. I've encountered many people in my time who would argue, with all that they have, that there is nothing wrong with this, that I am just a white knight trying to look good in women's eyes, and that there is something wrong with me for feeling this way about it. I've had many of these arguments over the years, so many that I actually have begun to question, am I in the minority here? How many men and women see the current situation of aggressive, abusive, exploitative and painful porn to be completely fine? The sexual exploitation on screen eats away at a part of the male psyche in an incredibly pernicious way. Men, especially younger men who are exposed to this garbage from adolescence, whether they know it or not, view women as sex objects. So at the core of every romantic encounter they have, every loving relationship, friendship, and conversation dwells within that male's mind, a part of him which craves exploitation. They are poisoned and unaware that what their mind craves is actually dehumanization. They want to watch and observe dehumanization. An army of men who would enjoy watching acts performed that at times they themselves would likely not want to be a part of, especially with a partner whom they love. If we look at dehumanization from another angle, a violent angle, we can get a glimpse into how ugly this part of the human mind is. In ages past, gladiators would gore each other for entertainment. There would be public executions and torture on display for people to jeer along and enjoy the spectacle. People enjoyed this display of violence, so much so that it was classed as normal at a point in our history. Yet as we grew as people, these acts of violence would be banned, classed as having no place within a society that is civilized. But I would argue that the human mind still craves this violence to a degree, and that is okay. It's a part of us, but we must control it. People in this day and age still do engage with the violent part of their minds. Take the true crime community, for example, one that I am a part of. How many programs over the years have you seen sensationalizing death, the victim being nothing more than a few words and a name, with the violent acts strangely glorified, highlighted with sound effects, music, and narrators that speak about the violence as though it's some sort of fictional novel? Why is it this way? People are drawn toward the spectacle of it, and this is an evolved version of the gladiators, the public displays of torture. It's a way that many humans can still engage that violent part of their mind whilst still calling themselves civilized, as we watch the worst of what can happen to our fellow human, all the while whilst sitting in the comfort of our home and counting our blessings that it was not us that befell such a violent end. This, in my opinion, if one watches true crime for the spectacle, and some do, is a way to engage with violence in a civilized manner. Yet with this part of our mind, we still can be uncivilized, and we are able to access videos online of raw executions, torture, pain and suffering. The violent, uncivilized way to engage with violence is still present in our society, but this uncivilized version of modern violence is not widely accepted. I would argue that if a friend of yours learned that you would watch live executions each night, they would be concerned for your mental well-being. But if they knew you watched crime documentaries each night, it's no big deal. So my question is, what makes sexual exploitation any different from this? Even if the sex on screen is completely consensual, there can be no problem with sex depicted on screen. But when it dives into exploitative torture, then we have a problem. And this is the direction that it's heading, and how most men will eventually consume porn. Porn, as it currently stands, in my opinion, is a blight on the human race. As long as porn, as it stands, simmers in the undercurrents of the male mind, men will forever have a skewed view on how to connect with their female counterparts. And so there it is, Jeff. That is one part of one of the problems with society as I see it. People are not educated to the psychological impact sex can have. People are not educated to the psychological impact porn can have. And people are not educated to the impact that they can inflict upon another when mindlessly pursuing sexual gratification. And as a result, we have Jeff here, a man who has been targeting a minor, likely because of issues he has with self-image, pursuing a dream that has been sold to him via the porn industry, and blaming the rest of the world for his predicament. Alrighty, so rant over, hey? If you're still with me, let's hit play on this thing and start it at a point where there is a little comic relief. Coming up, the detective will receive a phone call, and to be transparent with you, I have no idea what the person on the other end of the line says, but after making a few adjustments to the audio, I did get it to a point where I could make out some sounds, and to me, it sounds as though a discussion about the pizza Jeff had brought to the house is had. Take this next section with a grain of salt. I more put it together for chuckle's sake, hey.
Yeah, he also talked about sex with a 12 or freaking 13-year-old girl. It's fucked up.
Sex is a part of life. People talk about sex.
One second. Hey, Kev. What's up? Oh, yeah, I don't care. You can try. I'm in the interview right now, so. You get chuck it or something, I'm in the interview. I'll do whatever you want with it. I don't care. Thanks. Oh, what are you talking about? No, I don't care. It's cool. It's cool. Think it matters. Yeah, I don't care. Maybe bounce up a Tony or something if you want. I could care less. Thanks. You know what he was talking about. Jesus. Yeah, but I mean, honestly, it really is like what's your passcode? You come in with a pizza, you want to hang out home, parents aren't home, make sure of that.
Well,
and the first thing you do, you want to give a girl a hug.
They would let me in if the parents were home. They let me hang out with her. Parents are home.
But you
That's
said
why I wouldn't come. I mean,
Of course.
it wouldn't happen if they didn't let me in.
Right. Why?
You know why.
Yeah, we both know why. I just want you to know why.
And I'm well aware of it. I'm well aware that it looks bad. I'm well aware.
It looks bad, and it is bad. It's not just like, hey, we're jumping to conclusions here. This guy's a great SAT prep guy. He's working with this girl for her
I wanted to see what she was all about. I honestly was not planning on having sex with her.
That is fucked up.
Oh.
You want to see what a 13-year-old girl is all about. You still don't see that as like being an issue.
I can see how it is an issue for most people with a
Most people might say, at our age, hey, the girl's like 26, 28, whatever. A little on the younger side for us, but hey, I want to hang out and see what she's all about. She's 12 or 13. 17-year-old boys aren't even interested in her. You put these things together, it's not like we're making a big leap here. You know what I mean? But you're still shaking your head with your hands, your arms are crossed, and you're kind of wondering, like, "What? This is crazy. I just wanted to hang out with her."
Because that's the truth.
Even if that was the truth, which I don't believe.
I'm not lying.
It's all.
Can I have a cup of water?
Yeah. We can give it a second.
I guess that
What was
was
so special about her? In other words?
like I said, it was just she was somebody that I thought I was able to relate to and have a conversation with. Not everybody that age you can do that with.
What can you tell me about her?
Jeff has adamantly claimed that he is not focused on sex, and that he felt she was someone mature and he could connect with. So when asked, "What can you tell me about her?" I am very interested to hear what he has to say.
Well, I'm sure everything I tell you about her is probably not true because.
Granted, but what do you know of her? That maybe if I heard, I might be like, wow, she must be kind of special.
Well, she seemed smart and she seemed like mature and everything we talked about hockey. She said she was a big hockey fan, so am I. And, I don't know. She just seemed chill and like to hang out and stuff.
His answer. She talked to him about hockey, and she seemed chill to hang out and stuff. I can really feel the special connection, hey. A fun fact though, is that the hockey conversation he refers to lasted a grand total of 39 messages. some of those messages being single words like lol or an emoji. In 3 weeks of communication and thousands of messages, this is the conversation that he chooses to represent their special connection. And another fact is that the hockey conversation came right off the back of the decoy trying to convey emotional depth. She had expressed that she felt displaced after moving to Connecticut. So I find it important to note that Jeff remembers the conversation about hockey, where he pleaded with her to not tease his favourite team. But he doesn't think it important to recall a conversation involving emotional depth that occurred just moments earlier.
I know that it looks bad.
It is bad.
It is bad.
It's
It's
not
bad.
just it doesn't look bad, it's horrible.
Yeah, the whole thing is bad. But my intentions were not to have sex.
So you're going to drink with this girl, who, like, how much alcohol could she have drank in her life?
Let's take a
So she's going to act how? Probably like a basket case.
let's take a lie detector test.
That's going to prove what to me?
I don't know.
If you're a fucking sociopath,
Let's
is
go to
anything
court.
admissible in court?
I don't know. Let's
it's
go to
not.
court. And, I mean, I would swear in court that I wasn't planning on having sex with her.
You weren't planning on having sex with her.
Right.
Maybe you didn't plan on having sex with her, but it would have happened if...
I disagree. I honestly disagree. She seemed cool. I don't think there's anything wrong with like hanging out with somebody because you think they're cool.
You want to... How could she be cool? No offense to
How?
any girl that is that age.
Well, I
She's
talked
cool
to her.
to you?
I talked to her enough. Yeah.
Yeah.
To figure that out. I'm not denying that it doesn't look bad. I'm not saying it's
It's
not
terrible, dude. It is terrible.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Look that
It's
way.
terrible if I had sex with her. I agree.
It's terrible that you're willing to drink and put yourself in that position and come down here probably for the intention of doing that.
Right, and I can't control myself. You don't think I can control myself? Have a drink and have some pizza, and you don't think I can control myself and not have sex with her?
I don't know you at all.
Right, you don't
I
know
would
me.
say you probably can't control yourself since you got in the car on a Saturday night and drove all this way to meet this girl you've never met, you chatted with about sex and pics and yada yada yada, and getting married and getting her mother's consent so you could have sex with her, so it would be legal to try to, circumvent the law. You think that's normal?
No, it's not, and I even told her that.
And you almost light up like you're proud of that fact. It's disturbing.
I'm not proud of it. I'm acting this way for several reasons. One, because I'm probably too much shocked to realize this is even happening. I feel like that I'm dreaming right now. I'm not even sure this is real.
I want to take a closer look at his comment about not being sure if this is real. Following this incident, Jeff would say that his confidence towards Hansen and Detective Kelly was all an act. This could be a lie to save face, but let's break it down using the lens that it could in fact be true, and that Jeff is experiencing a mild episode of disassociation. It is plausible that he might have disassociated due to the pressure he is under, having never heard of Hansen, only to have the man spring him with a room full of cameras, equipment, and a big old security guard, compounded with his already skyrocketing paranoia and the anxiety of entering a house he's never been in before, to meet a person he's never met. Then it all explosively ends in a room full of police officers handling his arrest. I do wonder if he has removed himself from this situation to be able to cope with it, now us possibly seeing a bare-bones regressed version of himself, like a teenager, one that has taken Jeff's place so that they can calmly handle this heat. Mild disassociation is described as feeling disconnected from oneself or the world around them. The person's senses suggesting to their mind that the world is not real. During disassociation, an individual may find themselves doing something or acting in a way that they normally would not, but are unable to stop themselves. They will feel compelled to do it, and often describe the experience as being a passenger within their body, not the driver. This cocky, arrogant, and rather obtuse version of Jeff that we have all come to know could very well be a disassociated version of himself, rather than a complete representation of the man at this point in time. If there is any truth to this theory, it then begs the question of who is he? Is he someone who is deserving of the title, most arrogant predator? Or is he, in fact, as mentioned by his attorney in the sentencing hearing, an inept, psychologically damaged individual with a slight learning disability that made a terrible mistake and has learned from that. I won't say that my opinion rests on one side or the other. I know far too little about the man to make that assumption, but seeing as he is widely considered by many as their most hated or most favorite predator, it's an interesting thought to ponder.
Because I wrote on Skype, I wrote all these messages stating that I don't want to have sex. I don't want to have sex if it's going to be against the law. How can you not interpret that as, as me trying to obey, not trying to obey the law?
Mental gymnastics like this are often used by manipulative people when trying to win an argument or persuade someone that they are right. Like an engineer working with all that he has, Jeff puts together a MacGyver-style narrative to sell to the detective, which on face value sounds believable should one not dig in. The real intention behind this technique is to confuse and verbally batter the target into submission. His exact words are, "I wrote a message stating that I don't want to have sex if it's against the law. How can you interpret that as me not trying to evade the law?" This question is difficult to answer because what he said is not untrue, and in an everyday setting would place Jeff into prime position to argue someone down. He could easily die on this hill, and eventually win an argument through sheer stubbornness. The reality here, though, is that he is not in control. He holds no power, and the detective is not going to back down.
How can you interpret that?
How can I interpret it that you're not? The girl is 13 years old.
You keep going back to that.
You're trying to, I'll be blunt. You want to be able to bang her, and the only way you think you're able to bang her and have sex with her is by getting her mother to sign a marriage application or certificate. That's the only reason. You don't even care about the mother. In fact, the only reason you're at the house is because the mother is 1,500 miles away.
Right, and I realize
you said she's mature and she's got, she's really smart and she's really.
I don't look at her as going after her. I mean,
well, you can drive and she can't, so she's not coming after you.
Well, but she's pursuing me too online and.
Yeah, with this little adolescent brain and intellect of hers, right? And you're a guy that's my age basically, and you've been through college and you've worked for 20 years and you've been married and divorced, and this girl's like what should have been maybe a product of your marriage, like a young girl, 12 years old, 13 years old. And you're kind of.
I'm sorry. Yes, it looks awful.
Just say it is awful. Because stop saying it looks awful. It is awful. It's kind of pissing me off actually. It doesn't just look awful. You have a serious problem, and until you admit it, you're not going anywhere. You're not going to get better. You're not going to. This stuff's not going to go away. I don't know when it started.
Really? You don't think this is enough for me to realize that?
I don't think you can help it because you keep on going like this and saying, well, you don't know what my intentions were until you admit the truth of what your actual intention was. You wanted to have sex with a fucking 13-year-old girl. That's why the contract. That's why the mother comment about the signed contract. All those things. It's the only reason. Doesn't make a difference if it's tonight or tomorrow.
I'm being honest with you on this. I wasn't planning on having sex with her tonight.
You weren't planning on having sex with her tonight. How many times have girls said that about a date with a guy? I wasn't planning on having sex with the guy, and oh my God, he was so handsome, and it was really nice, and you weren't planning on it. I wasn't planning on stubbing my toe, but I did.
What I'm saying.
That's a great idea. Let's drink with a 13-year-old.
Wasn't gonna have sex.
Even if she starts freaking out and dropping all her clothes, you want no part of it. I believe that one. I don't, by the way.
Of course you don't. I know you don't.
Seriously, dude, come on.
I know it's hard to believe because, most guys, all they think about is sex, and that's all they want is sex. Yes, we talked about sex, but I was not going to have sex with her and break the law.
Okay.
And that's obvious from my text messages.
You're still caught up on this. You're looking for an angle so that you wouldn't have to break the law. You want to somehow circumvent it so that it would somehow be legal or okay in your mind.
Yeah, okay with everybody,
right?
I wonder how much of what he said right there he actually believes. How many of his friends would have been okay with it if he could have solidified the marriage with the 13-year-old? It's difficult to tell in this moment if he is delusional or lying.
But that was your intention. It wasn't like you, whoa, I gotta wait till she's 16, 17, I'm not touching this poor thing because she's only 13 years old. That wasn't your motivation. It was like, I want to bang her, I gotta get her mother to sign her over.
To be honest, I had nothing to do tonight. I really just wanted to meet her and then figure out some, later what I was gonna do. As far as, all that other stuff.
All right.
You're painting me to be an evil person that doesn't care about anyone's, well-being, and I'm admitting to you that it's wrong. If anybody who hears a story like this is going to think I'm doing something wrong.
Even you thought so.
If they don't know all the facts.
Well, you thought so too, because you researched the law, right? What would the ramifications be if you served her alcohol?
What are the rules?
And she got hammered at home with you. Is that cool? Did you circumvent that?
I wasn't going to let her get hammered.
You're just going to have a little vodka?
Yeah.
Yeah?
A drink.
Who are you in her life to even say that's okay?
Well, I'm not going to I'm not going to be forcefully take the bottle away from her. I'm just to say, let's have one drink, have a drink, people, they have a drink. They hang out and have a drink. It's pretty normal.
It's of interest to me to see how he speaks about the minor as though she is 21, and I am inclined to believe that he may have some sort of issue with being able to recognize how a child's mind might differ from an adult.
She's 13.
She's probably had many drinks.
At 13?
She said she has.
Do you see a psychiatrist or anybody?
Yeah.
You do it for what?
OCD, depression.
What do you take?
Prozac.
Does it help?
I'm not sure.
What's your OCD? What do you fixate on?
I honestly don't want to get into it.
Because that's probably what we're talking about?
No, I mean, it's personal.
So what?
I just don't talk about it with everyone. It's difficult. So, I mean, I went to an OCD convention last month. I'm, working, trying to work on my issues. And it's tough. I
feel for it. It's probably horrible.
I go through it every day, and it's tough. And
I'm in two minds about this section of interview. On one hand, this could be an honest glimpse behind the curtains for this man. He's opening up and discussing very real issues in his life. But on the other, he could be using his issues here as a means to gain sympathy. He started out very resistant to the idea of talking about his OCD, but with little to no pressure from the detective, he rapidly shifts his tune to that of, "My life is tough. It is tough living with this. I deal with it every day." For someone who is ready to clash heads with a detective for over an hour now on one topic that he disagrees with, he sure didn't put up any fight at all on this one, going from "I don't want to talk" to expressing vulnerability in the matter of seconds. For the sake of argument though, let's take what he is saying seriously. An individual living with severe OCD really does have a difficult task before them. Physical and emotional day-to-day exhaustion as repeated movements and thoughts become draining, and quite often associated with the condition. One will struggle with finances, as they cannot stop from purchasing items of their fixation. Relationships difficult to maintain, both romantic and friendship. Work life difficult to focus on, and all too often, addiction to substances, pornography, and self-destructive behaviors becomes a reality for the individual. I don't doubt that Jeff has OCD. The question in my mind is, how severe is it? How difficult does it make his daily life? And could it be used as a possible explanation for some of the more bizarre of his arguments and mentality? I wondered if this is what may have led him to speaking with this minor so extensively online. She is someone who is a perfect object of his obsessive desire, fixating on this younger girl, unable to stop himself from contacting her to the point where researching what sort of trouble he could get into was easier than stopping the conversation with her altogether.
Sometimes, I want to do things to distract myself, and, so I don't have to go through it, because, the OCD happens a lot when I'm by myself. It happens much less when I'm with people. So, especially if I'm having fun, and I thought that tonight would have a fun night, and, you have to deal with my OCD, or depression, or whatever.
Do you fixate on either, porn or girls or younger girls? Is that ever the focus of your, No?
No.
You sure? You're kind of closing your eyes and shaking your head as if it is.
Tired. Yeah, it's never happened.
Okay.
I've never pursued a girl that age.
Jeff will go on to ask what his charges are, and the detective tells him, criminal attempt to commit first-degree sexual assault, enticing a minor, and risk of injury to a minor.
Drinking alcohol that her mother has a bottle of vodka. Those are the fucked up. The whole point of you even communicating with the girl is fucked up. Never mind the rest of it. It's not just coming here. You know what I mean? That's just the end result. The finality part of it, I guess you'd say. But the fact that you even communicated with her. If I was talking to a girl that I ever found out she was at my age, less than 20 years old, I'd be like, honey, good luck in your, in your search and your chase, whatever. But it ain't happening with me. You know what I mean? So until you actually admit that to yourself and be like, either it's the OCD that got the best of you, maybe you're depressed, maybe you just needed to hang out, you're lonely. There's all kinds of reasons. We all have excuses for all kinds of behavior. I can make up stuff too. Maybe some of it's true, but it doesn't excuse, again, talking to a child and trying to have sex with her. Put it in your words how tonight should be looked at by...
I understand that, how everybody here would think that. I understand that.
You would think it too. What do you do exactly? You're an insurance
I would think that.
You would know it. You would do a report on it and be like, this fucking guy is trying to bang this chick, like tonight. If there was some weird loophole in some, older law that we could get some relative to sign something, to do something, okay, now it's legal. She's still fucking 13 years old, dude.
If we fell in love with each other...
Are you really at that level with this chick? This kind of...
I said if.
Aren't you jumping way, way, way ahead?
Yeah, I always think that way.
You wanted to get her drunk tonight, basically. You did. Come on, we looked at your phone. Right?
Well, yeah, it says that, but...
I didn't say.
Doesn't mean we're going to just have one drink. So again, you're assuming all this stuff.
13! I don't want to go round and round with you. It's getting late. It's kind of frustrating.
Listen, like I said, detective, I know this is wrong. I know that it looks awful.
Yeah.
And if I was to walk out of here right now, I've learned a nasty lesson, and that never to even go near this again, because it's not worth it, no matter what the intentions are. That's what I've learned. I mean, I'm scared shitless right now. I'm not showing it, maybe. This is my personality. Mm-hmm. A lot of people think some people think I'm cocky, some people think I'm confident, but whatever. I mean, a lot of times I'm not.
And with one simple line, he throws away an entire argument that not only I constructed for him, but one he used for himself later on. In direct conflict with what he says in his sentencing hearing, he mentioned just now that a lot of people say he's cocky, which suggests that his cocky attitude is something that exists with him more often than it doesn't. So his claims that he wasn't himself throughout these interviews now has a strong argument that it's a lie.
That's my personality. I know I have weaknesses.
Nothing quite says I'm experiencing great fear, quite like a confident and powerful cup slam, hey.
Yes, I'm lonely. I mean, I've had trouble, like, meeting people, just, so, yeah, I go online and I talk to people. It's like something to do, a lot of people do it.
Nobody has an issue with you're all consenting adults. If you're talking to random people, by all means, do it.
She was the only one I happened to be, yeah, but all
happened to be what?
Young.
Young? Yeah, like 13.
Yes, too young.
Not like
I shouldn't be talking to her.
17 or 16.
I get it. I shouldn't be talking to her.
You're just not digesting that whole part of it. Like, it's how wrong that is. You're just still kind of like, well, you're lonely. So, yeah, everybody's got a song and a dance and say, oh, you have OCD and I'm lonely, I'm depressed. And, okay, fine, but she's 13. So, you say what you want. I don't want to argue with you. No offense.
I don't want to argue with you.
You believe what you believe, supposedly. I'm not sure if you even do. And I kind of know what I know. And that's it. All right, listen, we've probably beat this dead horse.
I know we have.
Going around and around, but
listen, I understand.
I'm glad you talked to me.
Listen,
I appreciate it.
I understand why you think. I get it. I get why you think my intentions were different. I get it.
Because you think it too.
No, I get it.
Yeah, as you should, as everybody should. Period. No big deal. I don't even know you. You're probably like a decent human being somewhere in there, and made really bad choices.
Why would I lie to you though? Why would I lie to?
Because you can't face the truth. That's the reality. I mean, it could be a combination of the OCD stuff.
Do you think if I walk out of here right now, that I would do this again? After all of this?
Today?
No, whenever. Yeah, if I walked out right now, do you think I would do this again ever again?
Right away?
And whenever in my life.
Probably not right away. Do I think you'd do it eventually if you didn't seek some type of help for it?
Really?
Yeah, I do.
It's unrelated. I can control myself.
For the medication. Well, could you control yourself with this?
Well, I can control myself, my actions. I can control my actions.
You drove down when the mother's going and you want to get her drunk.
So do you think that I would do this again? After all of this, after like all this.
I'm going to say I hope not, because I don't want to argue with you.
You don't think you insulted me.
If you would do this.
You're insulting me.
If you would do this.
I'm sorry the good detective has insulted you, Jeff, but you likely would do this again in the future. Once the fear and pain of this experience wore off, the loneliness and obsessive tendencies creep back in. You likely might even approach it again with a layer of confidence, now that you have a better understanding of how a sting operation could run.
Do I think you would do it if for some reason you got out of this and there was some kind of weird, hey, Jeff, you're all set, don't worry about court, no problem, those charges are dropped, see you later. Do I think you would do it again? Yeah, I do. I'd probably just about bet my life and career on it, actually. Because I don't think anybody would do that. And then, do I think it's the first time he did it? No, I don't.
Okay.
Because that's just... If it is the first time, it's almost more bizarre than if it's not. Because if it's the first time, what the fuck drove you to do that? Or I would understand it more if you said, yeah, I always kind of like the younger teenage girls, and this girl's a little younger than most, but... you know what I mean? But you're actually acting like, well, no, she was pretty cool, I want to hang out. I'm like, that's just, to me, it's I can't wrap my head around that one. So until you recognize that and like kind of accept it,
doesn't mean anything.
And there's the guy that's looking at you right there in that little reflection, then you're never gonna get well either.
You can't take me at my word when I say
I don't know yet.
I've learned.
Oh, I'm sure you learned. It probably sucks. Yeah, I'm sure that in that respect. Yeah.
I wouldn't want to go near this situation.
You wouldn't want to. Do I think you can control it?
Really? You don't think I could? Really?
No, because why would you do it if you could control it? As soon as you found out she was 12 or 13, whatever's in dispute here, you should have been like, peace, I'm out of here. Good luck with the teenage boys or whatever. Regular,
if I really
permanent people.
If I really wanted to prey on 13-year-old girls, why wouldn't I just do it up in Boston?
Maybe you do.
Okay.
I don't know.
I see. Okay.
I don't know, right? You don't know me, I don't know you. So I'm assuming that, this is the first time possibly, but do I know that? No, I don't know that.
And that's pretty much the end of the interview, hey? Which means that we're back here. And so that's Jeff Sokol, hey? Or is it? The main question that I asked myself time and time again was, who is Jeff Sokol? Jeff could be many people. He could be the inept imbecile his attorney painted him out to be in sentencing, someone who struggles severely with everyday life due to learning disabilities and personal issues, a sympathetic character who put on his best performance of bravado and confidence, as he likely has done many times before when his stupidity landed him in trouble, a broken man who doesn't even see himself as worthy of the title of real man, one who had had a chain of failed relationships following his divorce, and a man, due to a range of reasons, with such low self-esteem that he fell victim to a vile temptation. Idiotic, dangerous, and sad. Or he could be the cocky, calculating manipulator, a true predator, a narcissistic danger, entitled, proud, arrogant and deceptive, someone who has probably done this before, at the least thought about it, and someone who wouldn't think twice about the damage he could cause to a minor, but is fully aware of said damage. The erection pill, the defiant attitude towards the detective, the lies, the calculating and rather confronting ease to which he found himself researching marriage that makes this horror legal. He showed no firm denial of harmful pornographic images containing children on his devices, and he held the presence of a dominant person, playing the role of a casual, easygoing joker. All of this could easily lead one to suspect that this man is a cold machine, seeking out his desires at whatever the cost. Everything we saw of this man could be nothing more than a set of clothes being puppeted by fabricated thoughts. The real creature, the puppet master, a dirty and dishonest being, one that dwells within, and that parades this idea of a man around to the world. Likely, the reality rests somewhere between these two extremes. And what I'd like to mention is that I most definitely was not expecting such a clash of thoughts when it came to this man. I figured we'd all have a chuckle and watch a naughty man embarrassingly eat some pizza. But instead, I found myself researching things that I haven't dug up in years. Emotionally abusive relationships, narcissistic abuse, disassociation, OCD, different sorts of medications. For a few weeks now, I would lay in bed at night wondering over and over, who is this man? There was a really interesting AMA conducted on Reddit with one of Jeff's longtime friends, a person who cut ties with him after learning of his involvement with this sting. It's really quite interesting, and if you've got any time, head on over there. I'll put the link in the description. But as you can see on screen right now, there's a few examples, and it paints him out to be a pretty normal guy, one who seemed pretty rattled in his interview with Hansen, a man whose successful wife left him due to a lack of ambition, a man that had increasingly worsening OCD and an inability to commit to relationships, but he did have an ability to hide elements of his life from his friends, and a man prone to nervous breakdowns. These things certainly add more depth, more questions upon questions, and to be frank, we don't even know if this friend of his is real. How does one verify anything is real? Don't worry, I'm not going to launch into another tangent about what's real and what's not. What I will say is that Jeff seems fairly intelligent, despite these claims of him being inept. And if that is the case, I imagine that this experience a good thing for him, because if it didn't happen with this decoy, I imagine it probably would have happened with someone else at some other time, and that might have been real. Following this sting, it is said that Jeff would go through 3 lawyers before pleading guilty and being sentenced to 30 months in prison. There's a really interesting video on the man from Joey's TCAP channel that I'll put in the links below, and it goes into detail about the sentencing hearing and how Jeff acted on that day. One of the most important details from the hearing that was not mentioned in the HVP footage is that Jeff had actually brought vodka with him on that night. Probably just in case the decoy didn't have any at her house. It seems like the man was really keen on her having a drink, hey? In 2018, Jeff would attempt to change his name to Sonny Derek Porter due to the harassment he was receiving, and feeling as though he had moved on from this part of his life. He wanted to leave it all behind. This request was denied by the court, and again, I'll link a video below for anyone who may be interested.